It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hi, I'm Courtney Forrest.
I'm Tony Schumacher.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan.
This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Castello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Castello.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to WFO Radio NHRA Nitro podcast. For you first-time listeners or new subscribers, or if you've never heard of the show, if this is your first podcast, welcome. It's all about NHRA, Mellow Yellow, and Lucas Oil drag racing. And our thing is that we have the winners on. My name's Joe Castello, and you are going to hear from the winners of the Magic Dry Arizona Nationals on this podcast. You're going to hear Billy Torrence talk about his Capco team, talk about winning his second race ever. It's going to be big, his second Mellow Yellow Series race in Top Fuel. Billy Torrence going to be on the show just minutes away. Also on, Jeg Coughlin Jr. Jeg up there, 80-plus victories. We're going to speak with Jeg. Jeg had his 100th battle against Greg Anderson in this race. Going to get a new car. We're going to talk about that. We're going to ask Jeg about the new Pro Stock Only television show. We're going to talk about all that on this show, so stick around. Also, Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley-Davidson winner, Beau Layne. So the Nitro bikes, if you're a fan of the Nitro bikes, if you've been following that series for a long time, WFO Radio talks to the winners, and you're going to hear Beau on this show. You're going to love it. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what about Matt Hagan? What about Matt Hagan? Matt Hagan will be on next week. Matt Hagan going to join us on WFO Radio NHRA Nitro podcast next week as part of our ramp up to the 50th Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. We're starting the hype machine right now. That's the next event on the tour. I'm going to be there. I know you're all going to be there. We've got the start of the Factory Stock Showdown season, Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. We've got the start of the E3 Spark Plugs Pro Modified season. We got the start of the Mellow Yellow Pro Stock season. We've got just an unbelievable event where all the best of the best are all going to be there. It deserves a whole lot of hype. And that's exactly what we're going to give it. So you want to subscribe, do that now. Click subscribe and never miss a show. The voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, will be joining us just minutes from now. But right now I want to tell you about the great sponsors that make the show possible. Got to name check our sponsors, right? Like Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School and the Dragster Adventure, which has been at Gainesville Raceway for a long time, but the Dragster Adventure goes around the country. They go near you, your chance to drive a dragster, a thrilling day, a thrilling experience. Check it out, the Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com. Also, motorsportsguys.com. This is Terry McMillan's new mail-order venture. If you're a fan of Terry McMillan, you got to be getting your mail-order stuff from motorsportsguys.com. But also, if you just want good stuff to your door, motorsportsguys.com, and we're talking about Amalie Motor Oil in particular. They've got everything. They've got filters. They got K&N filters. They got all kinds of stuff that you may need for your oil change. But motorsportsguys.com have got it going on. And use that promo code WFO at checkout and add that Vegas Win Tribute hat, and it'll be free, which is good. People like free. I like free. Rodax Coffee and Grills.com. Gourmet coffee, hot sauces, spice rubs. I just had some. I'm fired up. I'm amped up. I love the Rodax coffee because it is next level. This is gourmet coffee, roasted fresh per your order, so when it gets to you, it is brand new. It is perfect. Rodax Coffee and Grills.com. If you're in Fort Worth, Texas, go by there, get a high-end grill. You will love it. Or get a low-end grill. You will still love it. The School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, samtech.edu. Start your education at full speed. Brian Massengill and family down there training the next generation of engine builders and machinists and CNC machinists. I can't think of anything like more significant than that. And if you want to start your education at full speed, go to samtech.edu and check out their classes in high-performance engine building, machining, motorsport, EFI. They've got it all. samtech.edu. Magic Dry and catspotlitter.com. Magic Dry, the official organic absorbent of the NHRA. And we didn't have to break it out too often this past weekend, fortunately, unless we're talking about the rain, which is a different story. We did lose Friday, but Magic Dry stepping in. I got to do a quick interview with Tommy Thompson. They were so fired up. about being out there. I'm very excited to tell you guys about Cat Spot and Magic Dry. If you've got a cat, get Cat Spot. If you've got like a factory or a shop or an industrial application, Magic Dry is for you. They're both organic, which is great. Hangstifer's Metalworking Lubricants. Dr. Hangstifer and Hangstifer's Laboratories, supporting several drivers out there like the Sackman brothers, but also DSR and John Force Racing both select Hangstifer's in their shops. Why? They are made more efficient through the process. Simple as that. Hangstifer's is all around the world. If you've got a shop, factory, if you work in that kind of world, Hangstifer's.com. You want to go there and tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. Plus, Drag Racing Edge and EV3 Drag Racing support us through cross-promotional. You can check out EV3 Drag Racing on your mobile device. Drag Racing Edge, of course, you want it to your door, you should subscribe. There you go. Those are the people that make it possible. That wasn't so bad, right? We're going to tell you more about them later on in the show. But right now, we're going to talk about the Magic Dry Arizona Nationals. Let's get into it with the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart called the action out there in his home state. Alan, welcome back. How are you?
No, I can't get your ticket. Oh, wait, I don't have to say that anymore.
Right.
I'm great. It, throw out Friday and the weather issues that we had up there, and it was a pretty entertaining race, I thought.
Yeah, Friday and the weather issues. That was an interesting situation, just being in the middle of it and kind of like, people were going to try. Oh, it doesn't seem to be working. Oh, wait, Matt Hagan went down, and he went down well. Wow, maybe we should try again. It's not working. And then teams kind of deciding like, man, we're not gonna do this. I don't know. I felt like that was handled in real time pretty okay.
Well, I think, and this isn't just, taking the company line, but I really think that the best decision that could have been made between NHRA and Wild Horse, the racetrack, is the decision they made to give full credit for the tickets. Because, the policy is if a Nitro session gets in and the rest of it gets canceled for whether this, that, act of God, then, hey, that's that. And in this particular case, there were some Nitro cars that went down the racetrack, and, Hagan in particular, you mentioned, made a good run. But the reality of the situation was that the people came out there, they sat through all that weather, they were freezing cold, and they didn't get to see any kind of a show that they had paid for and expected. And so when the decision was made and when they told me to, hey, make the announcement, your tickets are still good, we're not charging you for today, I think that was certainly the right thing to do. Everybody tried their best to make something good out of that, and it just wasn't to be. So the fact that the fans didn't get punished financially, I thought was a great move. And then, of course, Saturday and Sunday, I thought the show was spectacular both days.
Yeah, absolutely. And, hopefully building some goodwill in that department. But yeah, Saturday and Sunday, we were a little bit on it, and we were hustling the sportsman cars. Unfortunately, they finished their final rounds after the final rounds of the Mellow Yellow Series. But in the end, winners are winners, and we will talk about them momentarily. But let's start off with Top Fuel, where Billy Torrence gets his second win. We're going to hear Billy on this show. Matt Hagan, we've pushed him back to next week because Hagan's got a cool NASCAR deal he's going to go experience as Grand Marshal out there in Vegas, so he'll have something extra to talk about. Plus, we needed a guest for next week. But Billy Torrence, the more I talk to him, like, he's a real personable guy, and he admits, he's like, I'm the weak link on this team. I got to step up, and he really did in a big way.
I think the interesting thing about Billy is that, he started out as a regular old working guy, getting up and busting his hump, trying to make a living and feed his family, started a business, became very successful. But when you talk to him, he still sounds like a guy that you'd go have a beer with at the end of the day. And that's really him. And I think if you just looked at the statistics and you go, okay, well, Billy qualified number one qualifier won the race. All right, man, no surprise there. But if you look at the way the day went in Top Fuel, it was like, wait a minute, what just happened? Did he just do that? Did she just what? Huh? And it was crazy the way the whole thing, for it to end up with, okay, number one qualifier won the race, which certainly isn't a huge shock. But the day itself, there's everything from top to bottom I thought was wildly entertaining.
Yes, definite entertainment. And some of the storylines that continued through qualifying, like Terry McMillan continuing to have a really strong year. He gets bounced second round, but ended up with a strong showing. Antron Brown looks like they're, on the comeback trail, looking good, and the story of the young guns, so to speak. I shouldn't use that. You know what? Nobody used young guns, but certainly Austin Prock and Jordan Vandegrift, these two dual young kids out there. Jordan going on to the semifinals, looking really strong. A lot of fun and different storylines taking place.
I think it's going to be interesting to watch the development of both of those guys. I'm really sorry that Jordan isn't going to be running the full tour, because I think week in and week out, that could be something that people would pay attention to. These two kids, and I mean, I say kids, they're 20-something, with known last names that are trying to now make their way in the world and make their own mark. They're both in really good equipment. They both have first-class organizations behind them, and it is going to be fun to watch the development of the two of them throughout the course of the year. So that certainly is a huge part of it. Jordan running the numbers that he did, and again, you look back, what Austin Prock did over in Pomona just a couple of weeks ago, both of them having won their first ever actual competition round, both against Brittany Force. What are the odds of that? It's just the whole dynamic of that's going to be fun to watch. The whole dynamic of Top Fuel is going to be fun to watch. If you had told me going into Pomona that we'd be headed for Gainesville and Brittany Force would still be looking for her first win light on Sunday after David Grebnick and Max Savage and the guys came over, took over that team, man, I'd have put big money on that. The way their car ran, and, that being Clay Milliken's car all last year, and with the resources and the stuff that Force has, I figured they'd be instant threat. And I still believe they will be. They just haven't got there yet. But that's one of the things that we're going to be keeping an eye on, keeping watch for.
Yes, very interesting. And Billy and Steve Torrence become the third family where father and son have both led the points. And I think that's interesting. The Colettas, Connie and Scott, the Bernsteins, Kenny and Brandon, and now Billy and Steve Torrence. That is kind of cool. I wonder, though, they're the only ones where the dad has led points after the son led points. Now, leading points, that's a small thing, but there's only three families to do it, so that's kind of interesting.
Well, the other two, obviously, the father was involved in the sport, and then the son followed in his footsteps, whereas in Torrance's case, although they were all racing in the sportsman ranks, Steve was the one that went on and started driving the faster cars, first the alcohol cars and the Top Fuel cars, and then his dad went, okay, I got to give that a shot now too. So kind of a different dynamic, but it's your classic Lewis Bloom stat, and I don't mean that to be derogatory, but if you go out and win the Winter Nationals, then it comes up with, oh, he's the 75th person to ever lead the points in Top Fuel, and in my mind, it's kind of like, so what? Tell me who's winning after three races. That's like, I don't care who kicks the first field goal in the Super Bowl. Tell me who's winning at the end of the third quarter. Give me something a little bit more than that. It goes down as a stat, and it's all wonderful and it's all great. But two races into the season, I don't think you've really got a feel for who are going to be the legitimate contenders going down the road. What kind of odds would you have gotten? What kind of odds would you have given me if I said, okay, forget Friday, all right? We're going to lose a day to weather, so we're going to have two qualifying sessions, then we're going to go racing. Okay, you with me on this so far?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Steve Torrence will never go fast enough to pull a parachute. You want to make a bet on that?
Yeah, probably not. I would have given you long odds. But then again, the math had to add up against him some point. They've had such a good run. Eventually, they were going to have a tough day, and this was it. But I wouldn't have picked on this given occurrence because they tested so well down here.
Exactly. And, I don't know how far back you'd have to go to find the last time they made three runs and didn't make a good one out of the three. I talked to Richard Hogan a little bit at the end of the day, and, he said, no, he said, we're good. He said, it was, fluke this, stupid that. He said, and I asked him, I said, are you going to stay and run tomorrow? Because a number of teams did stay and test on Monday. And he said, no. He said, I think I could pull the car up there right now and run 367. I'm not worried about it. He said, we know what happened. We know it's not like, oh, my God, we're just completely lost in the woods. He said, we know what happened. We can identify the issues that are behind us. Let's just go to Gainesville. So it was just a really fluky way, for you don't expect a guy, or at least I don't expect a guy, to go to 7 consecutive final rounds, win 6 races, be that dominant, and then show up at the next race and look like he'd never been in a Top Fuel car before. And all the respect in the world for the Capco boys, but this weekend, if that's the first time you'd see them, you had seen them run, wouldn't you be looking around and going, he's the champion? I mean, it just didn't look like it this weekend. I expect him to be back with a vengeance in Gainesville.
Well, exactly, and I said that to Steve. It's just like, you can't win every one of these races. It's not even about being good. It's about the forces of math. You just can't. And the next one is a really big one. And so maybe it's good to get your troubles out of the way because everyone wants to win the Gator Nationals. This is going to be one for the ages, and we'll talk about that momentarily. And, of course, got a couple weeks to hype it up. Let's move over to Funny Car, where Robert Hight was the number one qualifier. We saw quite a few runs in the 80s, which was nice. And on race day, it was Matt Hagan and Robert Hight kind of looking throughout the number 1 and 2 qualifiers, the guys that were getting down the track on a regular basis. And I really felt like we were going to see those two in the final round. But then in the semis, J.R. Todd and the Yellow Fellas, man. Todd Smith, Jono, racing with a heavy heart. Jono, after, they lost their sister the week prior. And said flat out that they, weren't where they needed to be early on. They went to the semis and pulled a rabbit out of their hat against Robert. Robert was a little late. JR was right where he needed to be and took out Robert. So it was JR and Matt Hagan in the final round, and JR had problems. Matt Hagan wins the race.
Yeah, and just like Top Fuel, I mean, the way they got there, if you'd looked at the ladder and said, hey, look, Matt Hagan was the number 2 qualifier, had a good car, strong car, mowed through the field, won the race. Okay, where's the story? Well, the story is in everything that happened on the way there. The J.R. Todd certainly wasn't the favorite, even going into the semis against Robert. And I said, call him the race. I said, either those guys being the DHL team has to have found something, or they have to have Robert stub their toe, because Robert has been 4 or 5 hundredths at least faster than them all day long. And they stepped up. Robert and Jimmy Prock slowed down a bit. And as you mentioned, Robert got distracted on the starting line for whatever reason, but the bottom line is the DHL boys went up and outran him. If Robert's on time, does what he does, he still got outrun. And going into the final round, Matt Hagan made a heck of a run in the final round. And whether they could have matched that, I have no idea. What happened with JR's car was a malfunction in the safety system, and when he stood on the gas, it shut the car off. So he never had any opportunity to even find out, was it tuned up right? Would it have gotten, would it have made, who knows? But that's just, one of the things that happens every once in a while. And that's why you got to pay attention to all those little details, because if you don't, every once in a while, one of those things will jump up and bite you. Yeah, simple as that. And Matt Hagan and those guys stuck around and tested. We'll talk a little bit about the testing after we go through all of our categories. But some other racers that look pretty strong. Bob Tasca getting to the semifinals. Eric Lane, Mike Green have got that car consistent and running pretty quick. Going to be interesting. They got that new Mustang body. Tommy Johnson had a nightmare day. Took a lot of guts. I know funny car drivers just do this kind of stuff. And a guy like Tommy, 30 years in, on his 30th anniversary, displayed it. Big explosion first round, big explosion again second round. Yeah, I mean, if you're Tommy Johnson to Make-A-Wish, guys, you're almost mad that Jim Campbell hit the blocks. I mean, it probably cost him $50,000. And for anybody who missed the race, if you didn't see the results, Tommy's car twisted an axle off in the first round. And obviously with only one slick on the ground, it over-revved the motor, blew up, split the body in the middle, just wiped out everything. When that happened, Jim Campbell, who had the race won, drifted over, hit the finish line blocks, which is a disqualification. So Tommy now is back reinstated. They went back to the pits, did a mad thrash, put the car all back together, came up, blew it up again. And that time they lost the race. And, I can't help but think that the mad thrash had something to do with that. That if they are out, okay, the thing blew up, split the body in half, fine, and they've got all day or all 2 weeks, whether or not they were going to run on Monday, I don't know, to go through and put it back together, it probably doesn't blow up the next time he comes out and stands on the gas. But when you get in that mad thrash mode and with the other teams pitching in, I think the chances of something like that happen increase. And it's a shame for the whole team that they had to go through all that. It's just a really, really tough weekend when you ruin 2 bodies, and just all the destruction they went through. But car is running well. They'll obviously regroup and they'll be back ready to go down in Gainesville. But the competition in funny car, if I told you, maybe we ought to do this. We got 2 weeks off, right? Yes. Let's I don't know, secretly or publicly or however you want to do it, put together your list of the 10 guys that you think are going to be in the countdown, or conversely, the guys that you think are not going to be in the countdown. Because as I look at it right now, I think there's four, in my mind, there's four guys that absolutely, I believe, are a lock. And I don't think anybody else is. Nobody else at this point has shown me what I believe is a consistency that I'd say, okay, absolutely, positively, that guy's going to be in, because you just never know who gets on a hot streak at the right time and all of a sudden takes away a spot. I think there's it's going to be very interesting to watch coming down, especially as we get closer and closer to Indy. We're only 2 races into the year, so there's a long way to go, and that's why I think it'd be interesting now to try to make that prediction.
All right, we'll do the top 10, just because I prefer to accentuate the positive. The people that will make it, and then the people that we say won't make it, they'll be mad at us.
Exactly. So that's why I'm thinking maybe we should just put it in a mayonnaise jar and put it away someplace. We can date stamp it or something. So. But that way people won't be mad, or maybe guys will use it for motivation. If I say, okay, well, you know what, Joe's not in my top 10. What are you going to do?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I'll frickin' show you. And then you'll end up being third seed in the countdown to the championship. At which point I should get some kind of a bonus, a stipend, consultation fee, or something.
Something. Well, you know what, and that's the thing. It's like people are listening and they're going, those drivers wouldn't get angry at you guys for suggesting they won't make the countdown, right? Yeah, they would. There you go. All right, Pro Stock, the first ever Pro Stock show. I was thinking about tweeting out the reason that we delayed the show one day was just so that we could see the first ever Pro Stock show, but I thought better of it because ultimately it's really not true. The reason was that I traveled 1 day late, and that's why the show is coming to everybody 1 day late. But in the end, it's an on-demand show anyway, Alan. First ever Pro Stock only TV show, going to show Jeg Coughlin as the winner. Jeg races Greg in the first round, the 100th time. We should have mentioned the Force Caps 100th time ever, too. That's kind of interesting. Kind of in the end, it's Jeg Coughlin and Matt Hartford. Boy, man, I could feel Matt Hartford was going to have a good weekend right away. Don't know why, because it's the home track thing and all that, and he did. Final round, though, red light against Jeg. Jeg goes on to victory, and I feel like Jeg is going to have a big 2019 season.
Yeah, I think so as well. Him winning this early in the season has certainly not been part of his MO for the last few years anyway. I thought it was interesting to note in Pomona, the KB cars really looked like they were the class of the field. Yes, Roger Brogdon qualified number 1, but on race day, the KB cars really looked like they were the machines to beat, and they ended up with 2 of their cars in the final round and Bo Butner winning the thing. But yet, I really thought the elite cars looked like they had the leg up in Phoenix, and that's certainly going to be something that we're going to be watching go back and forth all year long as well. I thought it was very interesting to note that Jeg Coughlin ran really well, and Erica not so much. And I'm not saying anything that they wouldn't tell you. When she qualifies, whatever it was, 11th, 12th, bottom half of the field, and she's 200ths or 2.5 hundredths behind the cool kids all day long. She made up a couple of rounds with her driving and got them something to show for the day going to the semifinals. But her car, I don't think, was exactly where they wanted it to be, and I think they would tell you the same thing. I also am told that was the last time Jeg Coughlin will ever drive that car, that it has been sold, and he is going to be in a new car when he gets down to Gainesville. And if I'm Jeg, I might be calling Richard Freeman going, let's say we hang on to that another month or so just to see. Let's get the new one out and test it first before we get rid of this one. But my understanding is that car has been sold.
Well, exactly. I had been hearing that Jeg was going to have a new RJ car coming to Gainesville. We're going to ask him about it. Billy Torrence, Jeg Coughlin, Beau Layne going to be on the show. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. The difference in the chassis and the positioning of the roll cage and that kind of stuff, the stiffness of the car, the way it reacts to the tire. I hear that all of that is what has made this car that he's driving so much better than the previous edition, but that this new one is supposedly going to be like this one. But I agree with you, Alan. Talk about going out strong with the old chassis. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is the car that Larry Morgan sold them, that he had won with also.
I believe that is true. I believe that's still the same car. But when you get as competitive as they are at that level, and you've basically, exhausted every little possibility for performance, all that stuff really adds up. When you're talking about, if you're going bracket racing and your car goes 1065, 1065, 1067, you go, Okay, well, no big deal. If a pro stock car goes 652, 652, 654, you got 6 guys going, okay, what happened? Because those cars are very predictable, and they certainly are very finicky, but they have been refined to the point that if something like that, you see that on the scoreboard and you know something's not right or something's different, whether it's something, the design of the car, as we saw last year when the elite guys all made the switch. But there's something there, and I'd have a tough time throwing away a car that just won.
Well, here we go, and that's the story we will be tracking. Beau Butner going a couple of rounds. Matt Hartford, I felt bad when Matt went red, but he still had a great day and gave those Total Seal fans like a full day of racing. They got to enjoy all the way to the final round and a good finish. What do you think of the concept of the Pro Stock Only TV show? Typically, I saw a lot of complaining about it before anyone saw it, which is just the way things are nowadays. I watched the first half of it. Unfortunately, I admit, DVR 101, I should have DVR'd the program that came on after the program I wanted in case it got pushed back. That was my mistake, and I fully accept it. So I only saw the first half. But from what I understand, this is the only one that's going to be midweek. The rest are going to be in and around the race day show. So I don't know, man. I saw a lot of Pro Stock. I felt connected to Pro Stock watching the show. What about you? What did you see, or at least the concept of a Pro Stock only hour?
Well, I saw it, but I didn't get to hear it. I saw it in a sports bar last night. I don't have cable TV at home. When you spend 280 nights a year in hotel rooms, you don't spend $150 a month to have cable TV. At least I don't.
So true.
So I went and watched it at a sports bar, so I could see it. I couldn't hear it. I liked the fact that it looked like they were trying to do more on the driver personalities, more interviews, some of the things they would do coming back and forth from commercial and that kind of thing. I really enjoyed the Beckman and Lewis Bloom going to Irwindale, showing about how you can go out on Friday night or Saturday night and race your own car. And as I said on Twitter, as a guy who lives in a community where street racing is a big problem, and the local drag strip here, the NHRA strip here, is very actively involved in trying to get the racers to come out to the track. Seeing something on the show about, hey, take your car out there. It doesn't matter if it's a minivan or a hot rod, and you can make this happen. I thought I was very impressed with that. I loved the Matt Hartford when they had lost a lash cap inside the motor and they were in thrash mode, trying to decide, can we find this? Do we feel comfortable, or do we just need to get the motor out of here and swap it, because they were on a fairly quick turnaround? But I'm sitting there watching that, even though I couldn't hear it. I'm watching that thinking to myself, when's the last time you saw a Pro Stock pit thrash on the TV show?
Yeah.
Now, you know as well as I do, there have been plenty of Pro Stock pit thrashers, whether it's trying to swap a motor between the semis and finals when you're on a 45-minute turnaround, whether it's that happens. I mean, it is part of it. But when's the last time one of them made television where you could go back in the pits and go, this is what the team is going through trying to stay in competition? I thought that was very compelling. I like the fact that the Pro Stock teams have their own spotlight. I think no matter what you do in the Nitro show, the Nitro cars, the fans, the 300-mile-an-hour cars that blow up are going to make Pro Stock cars look like they're not as fast, they're not as exciting, they're not as thrilling, when I believe the Pro Stock cars are as exciting and thrilling as anything out there. It's just a little bit different level and a little bit different scale. And I love the fact that they have a spotlight shined on them. This is Pro Stock. This is what it's all about. This is what it takes to compete at this level. I guess we'll wait and see what the fan feedback is. I've looked at some of the Twitter stuff and some of the online stuff, and, as you would expect, some of it goes both ways. Some people hated it. Some people thought it was great. I really do applaud NHRA and Fox for trying it. Pro Stock needed something to get them some more exposure, to get them out there into the public eye a little bit. And I applaud all of the powers to be for trying it. I thought putting Bruno in the booth with Brian was brilliant. For as much as Tony Pedregon has accomplished in his NHRA career, which is a bunch, he's not that well versed in Pro Stock. It's not something he's competed with. It's not something. And while Bruno also hasn't competed in Pro Stock, but Bruno has driven door cars. Bruno has driven clutch cars. Bruno understands, and he certainly the the naturally aspirated gasoline-powered machine is certainly more Bruno's world than it is Tony's. So I thought that was a very good move on NHRA and Fox's part. We'll wait and see where it goes. But I thought I liked what I saw. I wish I could have heard it. I'm going to hopefully catch one of the reruns and get a little better look at it. But I applaud him for trying something. And I think that from what I saw, I thought it was a very good first step.
No, totally agree. Bruno mentioned that he had attempted to qualify in a pro stocker at some point in his career. But I agree, though. And me, again, you're talking about something that I missed because of my DVR problem. You didn't have the volume, so we can get together and piece at least the first third of the show together. But from what I understand, what would be perfect, right? To put on your 3 hours of NHRA coverage on Sunday, whenever it is, and have the first 2 hours be the Nitro show and have the third hour be the Pro Stock show. And if they can figure out how to work that with the network, and I'm just thinking out loud here, that would be great because you'd have a drag racing fan lead in, and then you got your Pro Stock diehards focusing on the factory hot rods. And yes, they got to show things that we never get to see, and that's what everyone's been complaining about. So maybe this is the right track.
Yeah, the one thing that I didn't see that I thought I was going to was I thought that they were going to have at least one of the segments from Ken Black's when they went to KB Racing, took cameras in the shop and showed a little bit about, how they build them, how they maintain them, how they do the Pro Stock stuff. Somebody told me that they put on Ken Black's Facebook page or somewhere that that was going to start in Gainesville. I thought it was going to start in the Phoenix show, but I was really looking forward to that, being a guy who's not allowed in the shop at KB Racing. I was going to put that on my flat screen and go frame by frame and see what I could discern that Brian and Bruno just don't have enough Pro Stock experience to know what they're looking at. That's
true
story. I walked into Warren Johnson's trailer one time. This is a number of years ago. He's got a notepad out, and I think he was looking at gear ratios and various stuff. Kind of just doing some math and trying to do. That's what I think. But I'm not 100% sure. But I walked in the trailer. Warren is standing there with this legal pad in front of him, and he's kind of, doing his figures and doing his numbers and talking to Bob Fry. And as soon as I walked in the trailer, Warren said hi and turned the pad upside down. And Bob said, "Is that like some kind of top secret stuff?" And he said, "Well, I don't want him seeing it, but you don't have the slightest idea what you're looking at, so it doesn't matter if you see it." and I just thought that was, I was very flattered by that. The fact that, Warren thought that I was smart enough that I would know what he was talking about. And, one time when I reached out to Jason and Greg and said, "Hey, I'm going to be in your neighborhood." I was going over to Jack Roush's prototype shop, which is, across the street almost. And I said, "Hey, I'm going to be there. Can I stop by?" And the response I got from Greg was, "No, you know too much about what we're doing here." And so, like I said, I'm going to go frame by frame and see if I can find little things that, nobody else is smart enough to pick out. And I don't mean that as a, yeah, I do.
Yeah, no, listen, you should. And you should, obviously. Listen, that's the whole point of the Pro Stock show is to make the fans. And also one of the reasons why a lot of people within NHRA are confused, in my opinion, about the popularity of Pro Stock is that the Pro Stock guys invest a lot in keeping their stuff secret. Whereas a lot of the Nitro guys have got PR teams and they're putting a lot of stuff on social media and they want to get it out there. So there are a huge number of drag racing fans, especially sportsman racers, that are devoted Pro Stock fans. But getting the information is a lot more challenging because there is a reason to keep it top secret. And I don't think everybody fully understands that this is a secret endeavor because once a speed secret is out, it's gone.
Well, one thing that I also hope they do, you were doing your thing out loud a second ago. I'm going to throw mine in here. I hope they continue to do stuff away from the racetrack, like the KB shop visit. Budget is always a concern with everything you do, but Rick Jones' shop is not that far from Chicago. Jerry Haas's shop is literally across the river from the racetrack in Madison, Illinois. We're going to Houston this week. Roger Brogdon's business is just south of Houston. And I would love for that to turn into more than just, here's what happened at the race last week, but hey, let's take 5 minutes and go look at Roger Brogdon's new machine shop. Or let's take a minute and go to Jerry Haas's facility and show you how they build one of these cars. Or let's go to Rick Jones's shop and show you how they mount the body, how they do what they do. I think that technical aspect of it would make the shows much more popular because I do know, or at least I think I know, that on the NHRA YouTube channel and when they do the Facebook Live things and that kind of stuff, that the technical stuff is what really the fans really gravitate to. They want to know, how a clutch works or how you build one of these or something along those lines. And I would really like that. If in my little fantasy world, I would like for every one of the pro stock shows to have something that's not at the racetrack. But, here's how they build a car. Here's what the guy does for a living. Hey, here's whatever. I don't care. Go hang out at somebody's beach house and just tell me a little bit about him and his family. But let's do something other than just, ET and speed. I think that would add a lot, and I think that the fans would enjoy that as well, in my opinion.
Totally agree. And let's put our suggestions in the suggestion box. Other winners, Comp Eliminator was Bill Kent, and that Pennzoil Dragster was running pretty great all weekend long. Superstock, Justin Lamb, what an event Justin had. He went through all the hitters and got the job done again out there. Stock Eliminator, Cody Lane, Craig Anderson in Super Comp, Ron McKenzie in Super Gas, Bart Smith in Top Sportsman, James Warden in Top Dragster, Beau Layne, who will be on this show, in Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley. And honestly, Alan, I was in the media center speaking with the Mellow Yellow Series winners, so I kind of missed the pomp and circumstance of the final rounds. What stands out in your mind?
Well, the Top Fuel Harleys, and I told the guys, I went down in Sage and Lanes, but I had a fan wrote me a question that I didn't have an answer to, so I went down and was talking to some of the guys on Sunday. But I told the Top Fuel Harley guys, I thought their qualifying on Saturday was the best day of racing I had seen them do. The 8 bikes, there were 9 bikes there. 8 of them qualified. All 8 of them were over 200 miles an hour. 7 of them, I think, were over 210. And they just, like one after another. It was, can you top this? Can you top this? And there was a whole lot of tire smoke from about the 900-foot or 1,000-foot mark because that's where the front tire was touching down. And I thought they put on a whale of a show. And for Beau Layne to get out of there with the trophy was pretty impressive. It's the first time that I've seen, and part of it is because where the announcer's booth is at Wild Horse Pass, which is a very good vantage point. You can see the racetrack. You can see the starting line. You can see the whole thing. It's the first time that I've seen the Top Fuel Harleys shaking the tires as violently as I could see it from there. It was amazing to watch. But I thought they put on a heck of a show. And Justin Lamb, obviously, what can you say about him? The other thing that I thought was a real highlight for me was the Copo Camaro, the electric Copo again. This time going 977. They continue to tweak on that thing, make it a little quicker and a little faster. And that whole project just fascinates me. The fact that it's in essence a crate motor. It's a genuine, real Copo Camaro that they took the gas motor out, put an electric motor in, took the gas tank out, put some battery packs in, and it's running in the 9s. That's just fascinating to me. And I certainly do not want the whole world to go electric cars, but the technology behind that thing is pretty interesting.
Well, I love hearing you say that because I don't know why you're saying that. You're saying that as like a shield against the crazies out there that are just going to attack because they do. But how many people did you see or like, electric car, yeah, whoa, ow. Like when that thing carried the wheels 100 feet out and ran 970, everybody roared. They loved it. They were confused. They didn't know what they were going to see. They were definitely scoffing and skeptical. And it's winning people over every time it goes down the racetrack. Of course, we don't expect all electric cars, but man, 1 or 2 running in Comp Eliminator, Alan, that would be pretty cool.
I think so. And I also thought it was fascinating that both Mike English and Johnny Moto, who were working in our hospitality, I just locked up.
Welcome Center?
The Welcome Center, yes. The Fan Welcome Center. Both of them who were working in the Welcome Center over in Pomona said they were overwhelmed with fans that came by after the car went 984 in Pomona, which is the first time they'd been in the 9s, and that was a huge milestone. But they were overwhelmed with fans that came by and said, where's that car? We want to see that car. And, you obviously you're always going to get fans that come by and say, hey, where's Leah Pritchett? Or, hey, where's Antron? Or, hey, where's John Force? But overwhelmed by people that wanted to know, where is that electric Copo? We want to go take a look at it. So I just think it's cool. I like the technology. I like the idea behind it. I'm just trying to picture, can you see someday where you call the central order production office and go, okay, Frank, I want the electric one.
Yeah.
And I just think it's cool. 800 volts, 750 horsepower, And it's a genuine car that they took the gas motor out of and put the electric motor in. They did not completely build this whole electric thing that's one of a kind. That the concept for this is to be a crate motor. And like I said, I think it's cool.
And you're on the right track with what you said in the broadcast booth, which is immediately where my mind went, which is weather conditions don't really matter that much. You don't have to worry about oil temperatures, air temperatures, barometer, all that stuff. That thing could actually end up potentially being a superior bracket car, handicap racing style car.
I mean, I guess, I don't know, I guess if you got into a hot lap situation, I don't know how many runs you could make before it started slowing down because you were losing a little bit of battery capacity, but that would just be, that would be part of the show. I took my 67 Mustang out yesterday, drove it, went and picked up a friend and went to lunch, and it's the first time I had a car out in a while. And that's a 700 horsepower gas motor with a clutch in it. I'm not trading that for an electric Copo, I assure you. I like the sound, I like the feel, I like everything about it. But as an exhibition vehicle or as a kind of one-off science experiment, I really think that car's cool.
Exactly. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much. Had a good time in your part of the country this past weekend. The next race will be in my part of the country, relatively close, certainly my home state, the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. The next couple of weeks, we're going to delve into the Gator Nationals and hype it all up as we get ready for the start of E3 Pro Mod and Samtech Factory Stock Showdown and Mellow Yellow Pro Stock Motorcycle, plus Unfinished Business with all the legends and so many great things happening at the Gator Nationals. It deserves several weeks of hype, and we're going to give it to them.
I'm looking forward to it. And this weekend, if there's anybody that's still hanging out in my neck of the woods in Arizona, we're going to have a Lucas Oil divisional race at Tucson Dragway. And I'll be out there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No alcohol cars, of course, no pro cars, but they're expecting about 350 or so really hardcore sportsman cars, and it should be a fun 3 days of racing. So if anybody's in the neighborhood, come on out.
Awesome. Alan, thank you so much. Great job.
All right, Joe. Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Alan. There he goes, the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart joins us each week right here at the start of WFO Radio Podcast. Subscribe. I got to say it over and over again. They tell you to, right? All the podcast gurus. Here's a little inside baseball for you, behind the scenes, right? Supposedly, and this is not only true for podcast, but for the YouTube people, like you've got to say subscribe. Otherwise, the person who watches, they don't think, I should subscribe. So you got to say subscribe. And they also say, like, write a review. Hopefully you like it. If you don't like it, don't write a review. How about that? Now, we have got Billy Torrence from Capco on the show next. We've got Jeg Coughlin Jr. on the show later. We've got Beau Layne of Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley-Davidson fame. First race win in the NHRA. Beau Layne will be on the show later. And then at the tail end of the show, my time, where I'll give you some insight into my thoughts about various things. I save my opinions for last because I want everybody else to go first. But if you like my opinions, you're going to want to check out the Ignition Show, which is always full of opinion, details from what's going on behind the scenes, and hilarity. So I think you will enjoy it, as many of our listeners do, and some hate. But, you can't please everybody. So is he going to be called Captain Capco? That's what we're going to ask him. So coming up next, Billy Torrence. But right now I want to tell you about motorsportsguys.com, based in Elkhart, Indiana. This is Terry McMillan's new project. And judging by the way Terry McMillan's last new project, the Top Fuel team, is going, it's going to be great. We're talking about Amalie Motor Oil. We're talking about K&N filters. We're talking about Wolf's Head lubricants, Molly filters, Allstate Performance Racing and high-performance parts from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive, shipped to your door. The type of oil that Terry uses in his number 2 qualifier this past weekend, Amalie Exterminator, the new pro racing 70 weight with Molly, used by many professional drag racers, including Terry, of course, helps avoid those drop cylinder moments. If you're a Top Fuel team out there, this might be for you. Comes in 70 weight, of course, but for the regular folks out there like me, 2050, 1030, 520, your next oil change, get it at motorsportsguys.com with the filter right to your door. And if you do it, use the promo code WFO at checkout and add that Vegas Win Tribute hat, and the hat will be free, which I think is nice. Amalie's been doing it since 1903, better than it has to be since 1903, and they've used the term pro, which stands for professional racing oil, since the 1960s. They've been going a long time, and of course, motorsportsguys.com has it all. So go to the website, bookmark it, check it out, and see that everything that you need for your next car and automotive excursion is available at motorsportsguys.com. When we return, it's going to be Billy Torrence after this.
This is WFO Radio.
Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants. The folks at Hangstafers on board with big racers like Antron Brown and Lucas Oil Series, sportsman racers in the Racing RVs Top Dragster category. And their number one goal at Hangstafers is to increase the productivity in the shop. Metalworking lubricants, coolants, all kinds of stuff. You got to go to the website and check them out. And so go to hangstafers.com to find out more information. Alan Reinhart always says, like, the one thing that DSR and JFR have in common is Hangstafers metalworking lubricants. We're happy to have them on board, happy to have them helping our WFO radio listeners in their shop. Hangstafers metalworking lubricants, trying to make you a little more efficient in the shop.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Hey, this is Joe Castello, and we'll be back to the show in a second. But first, I want to tell you about CompetitionPlus.com. There's a reason CompetitionPlus.com is the leader among drag racing electronic magazines. Their trained staff is always on alert and always asking the tough questions. The end result is hard-hitting drag racing journalism with up-to-the-minute reporting. For over a decade, CompetitionPlus.com has been a pioneer as drag racing's go-to source for the latest in news, race coverage, and high-quality photography. Their trained staff thrives on getting the inside stories, and their columnists study their topics before they hit their first keystroke. When it comes to covering the races, they leave you feeling as if you've actually been to the race. CompetitionPlus.com is an honest-to-goodness, free drag racing magazine, published by the most passionate of drag racing fans, who just happen to be journalists. Don't wonder what's going on in the drag racing world. Be in the know daily. Log on to CompetitionPlus.com.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Welcome back to the podcast, WFO Radio. Yeah, we take a short break every once in a while so I can, prepare and recharge my batteries and get ready and run to the bathroom. Right? Right. I didn't have to tell you that. Too much information, but it's fine. It's fine. People like the behind-the-scenes stuff, like, what's going on with that guy? You're going 3 hours straight. Got to take a break every once in a while. And plus, it gives me the opportunity to plug the people that make it possible, like Rodax Coffee and Grills.com, Marvin Rodak. Listen, I've been talking about Rodax for many years now, and he's got many of our listeners on board with the Rodax coffee. And some people are skeptics, just like with everything. People are skeptics. But once you try it, you will understand what we're talking about. Limited reserve coffees that come from rare places all around the world. We're talking about exotics. He's got over 40 single original coffees to choose from, plus the signature blends, plus tchotchkes like the Rodax Coffee and Grills coffee mug that is available. They got all kinds of great stuff, but the blends, I think, are what is most fun for the drag racers out there, like Bang the Blower, which is highly caffeinated, or Funny Car Chaos, which makes a great espresso, or the WFO Radio Blend. Hopefully the listeners are getting the WFO Radio Blend. Call Marvin and ask him, what kind of drag racing themed blends do you have? And pick one and get on it. 817-924-6821. That's the number. And he's going to answer the phone. He's going to say Rodax, and you're going to say, hey, WFO radio listener here. I want to know about the blends. And he's going to make you up something. He's going to roast it fresh per your order. He's going to put it in the mail. It's going to show up at your door. You're going to open the box. The aroma is going to come out and punch you in the face. And you're going to go running to the coffee maker to grind it. You might grind it yourself, like Patrick the webmaster has just started to experience the joy of grinding your own coffee, which it is so much better that way because you're doing like this lab project. Right? You're putting it in the grinder, and you're grinding it, and you're mixing it, and you're making it, and it takes 1 minute extra, but it just adds fun to the whole thing. You got to buy a grinder, though. You're going to want to get that separate. 817-924-6821. And you might be thinking, oh, that sounds like trouble. Or you can get it already ground. That's up to you. I get them on ground. Full bean, baby. But also the hot sauces and the spice rubs and all the grilling elements to it. Marvin's got recipes. Marvin's got techniques. And if you are in the Fort Worth, Texas area, I would go by Marvin's and buy yourself a grill. They got Fire Magic. They got Primo. They got all kinds of high-end grills over there that make a big difference. And it is a great experience. 817-924-6821. That is RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. And tell them you heard about it on WFO. All right, let's keep going. Joining us now, he is the top fuel winner at the Magic Dry Arizona Nationals. They're calling him Captain Capco. I wonder what he thinks about that. He was also number one qualifier, Mr. Billy Torrence. Billy, welcome to WFO Radio. How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning, Joe. How are you?
I am great. I'm excited. I thought that was a great win. When you win, it's a very popular and big thing, and I'm excited to talk about the round. But let me ask you, the nickname Captain Capco is like gaining a little momentum. What do you think of it?
Oh, I hope not. That's awful. That's terrible.
All right. There it is. Listen, I'm glad you went on the record right away because it's not too late just yet, Billy. It's not too late. It hasn't stuck.
I think I'd just prefer just be Billy.
I like it. Well, what they're doing whenever you win, they're going, Billy, Billy. That's a thing.
They are.
Which
I don't know who started that. My guys do that all the time.
I'm blaming Dom Lagana. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's Dom's fault. I just think he's a good guy to blame.
I think you're going to be pretty close right there. I'd bet on that one.
There you go. All right, let's start out talking about the amazing accomplishment of the championship last year with Steve, because I think it's all connected. You had the big win in Brainerd. Steve goes into the countdown, sweeps the countdown in a way no one has ever done any of that ever before. It has never happened and may never happen again. So your whole winter break off season had to be charged with great positive, thoughts about drag racing. Like the experience just kind of rolled right into this year. Would you agree with that? What was it like going into the off season, knowing your family had done this amazing thing?
Joe, it was surreal. We had a wonderful off season. It was really too short, but Kay and I took time to kick back and reflect on our family race team and sat outside on the loggia and watched all the races, the recorded races, and had a few too many glasses of wine. And I told her, I said, we got to quit doing this, Kay. We're becoming crying drunks. But we had a really good time.
So there were tears? There should have been.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's to watch Mama Kay's race team get out there and accomplish what they did was just, you were there.
Yeah. No, I was. And it's special. It's got to be, as we look back, as the years go by, looking back at this thing that just happened, the perfect countdown, it's going to be something that people talk about. It's one of the greatest moments that have ever happened, and I believe that. But here we are now, 2019, and as drag racers say, like that was in the history books, and now you got to go prove yourself again and again. And the Capco team had a really strong test out there at Wild Horse Pass, and on this given weekend, Steve had some problems. They just weren't getting hooked up. Now, we did lose 2 qualifying sessions, and that Friday deal was very challenging, and everybody kind of put their heads together and said, hey, let's not do something crazy, and everybody kind of called it off. So only 2 sessions, and that really hurt Steve, but you guys were able to make the most of that final session and take the number 1 spot and end up number 1 with a 366. That was very impressive.
Yes, Walt and Jake have really meshed with Dom and the rest of the crew guys. I mean, it's a complete package. There's 4 full-time guys there now and 4 guys that are like me that have full-time jobs and can only race, several races a year. But it's a really good team, and we the boys on Steve's team, they prepare the car or help prepare this car, on the off weeks, and my guys are able to maintain it and continue on. And Bobby and Richard work with them, and it really makes both teams better. I mean, I had the benefit of a super team out there. I mean, it takes a lot of work to get me to do well. So they were up to the task, and I held my end of the bargain up, and we were able to run well.
You did, and you do, and you are very honest which not everybody would necessarily be as honest as you are about not wanting to be the weak link with this, because everybody's working hard and they're all really great at what they have and what they do, and that you're really giving us a good insight into the challenge of driving these cars. You've won Super Comp races. You've been a sportsman racer and had great success, but these cars are different. And you say flat out you're looking to Steve for information, give you as much as he can give you to help you, and you just don't want to be the weak link.
Well, that's very true. And, I still am the weak link. That's a really seasoned team, and they go and they talk to me and bolster my confidence and just are there to support me. But I'll tell you flat out, Steve has been right there in my corner. He's told me what to expect with different track conditions, different racing, different people, and he's just been a wealth of knowledge. He's been out there a lot, and I've been fortunate to be able to pedal a car and come out with a win lap 2 or 3 times, and if not for Steve, my learning curve would have been a lot steeper. He's tutored me quite well.
That is great. Let's talk about your round by round. First round, Sunday morning. It was crisp and cool, but bright sun, so we were happy about that. You had to run Terry Totten. Terry is someone who's trying to make his way in the sport of top fuel racing as well. You're 074, which is a really strong light, 373.6 at 329. I would imagine exactly what the doctor ordered in that situation, to dial up a 373 and have the car do it.
I think Jake and Walt had the car right where they wanted it. They knew they had a superior car. I needed to do my job out there and be ready if anything happened, because it was a cold track, and we made a good representative run and came out on top. The guy in the other lane, you can't take any of them lightly, because these things are somewhat unpredictable.
Second round, Mike Salinas, another racer who has dived into the sport head first the past couple of years, and everybody knows Mike's a great guy, and he's trying to win one of these deals. Brings on Alan Johnson during the offseason, and they were having some struggles, though. Tell me about prepping for that matchup. I know Jake has got history working with Alan, so I know he wanted to win this matchup, of course, and you were able to do it with a 368.7 at 329.
Yeah, we were. You can't ever take any of these guys lightly. They've got a good group. They have good chemistry there with their team. Alan is there to tune the car. It's going to be, they're a win waiting to happen. They're gonna get one this year. We went up there prepared. We knew we could. We knew what we could get away with, and we got pretty close. I think we were probably trying to run a little bit quicker. It pushed a head gasket out and put one hole out, and we went 68. It came out in our favor, and I think those guys may have smoked the tires, but it's these track conditions when the weather's like that, it's really, really tricky.
Yeah, I can imagine. And everybody that describes what's going on in the cockpit of a race car, you're doing it in 3.68 seconds, but if you told me everything you thought, it would take an hour.
You're probably right. I didn't know what happened. I felt the car nose over down there, and it kind of pushed to the right. So I knew something had happened, but I never did see Mike or hear him. So I didn't know what had happened, because if it's a close race, you can hear that other car over there.
Yeah. And this one wasn't. And then you're on to the semis just like that. And you got to go up against this upstart kid, Jordan Vandegrift, who in the first 2 rounds of racing took down Brittany Forrest and Doug Coletta. And then all of a sudden we've got maybe a Cinderella story thing happening. In his first race, just got his license a few weeks ago out there at the same track. And you got to go up against the kid. What were you guys thinking about during the in-between rounds to prepare for the semifinals?
I think it was business as usual. We just took what the track would give us. I think we ran 70 flat right there.
Yes.
Probably that's where we needed to be, because the sun was out, and I looked at the ladder sheet, and the kid had been having good lights, and that's a really good team. Those boys over there do a great job. So I was on the tree, and we got out, and I never hurt him. I think that he had a little trouble there probably coming out of retard and maybe smoked the tires.
He did. He smoked the tires. You were 062. That's your best light of the day. So you said you got up on the wheel, and you did. You left first ahead of him, and then he blew the tires off, and you went on to victory.
Yeah, I mean, it's I held my end of the deal up this week, and had a really good hot rod. I was proud of those guys. They come up to me and try to keep me calm and keep me in the right spot, and you gain a lot of confidence when you go up there and you really got the best car on the property. You just I'm a team player, and I don't want to let those guys down.
That is great to hear. Now you're getting ready for the final round. You went to the final out in Brainerd last year, had success. You're going up against Leah Pritchett. Leah is very tough. Of course, there's a family connection there with Gary, and you guys are going to square off. You're 073, and car was on rails all day, but not this run. This run, the driver had to make a move, and you did. Tell me about it.
I was completely caught off guard. I caught it quick, but the track was cooling off quick as I rolled up there from all the sportsman days. You look and you see the shadow coming across the track, and the sun was on the tree on my side. So, I really need to get after it, but I didn't expect that thing to shake. But I left. When I left, I think it got about 40 feet, and it started rattling hard, and I just reacted to it the way Steve had told me to do. He told me to basically slap the throttle and try to be progressive getting back in it. When it got back, when I knew it was hooked up, I put my foot to the floor, and that thing went to the end. I saw that wind light, and it took the wind out of my sails. I'd been running on adrenaline all day, and I just barely had enough strength to get out of the car.
Wow. But you won, though, and that's the feeling of winning at the end of a day, and you have experienced it in your career in many different categories, and it's just like this weird feeling like that's it, it's over, you've won. And but doing it at the top fuel level, Billy, that has got to be something different. It's the pinnacle of drag racing, and then here come the cameras and everybody, and now you got to gather yourself for an interview. It's tell me about that whole experience.
Well, we got down there and got out of the car, and they're hammering you with cameras, and everybody wants to change your hat and talk to you, and it gets pretty hectic, and I think I probably had a smile on. I probably slept all night with a smile on. I woke up with my face hurting, but I was proud to be down there and get that mellow yellow and the trophy, and I was glad that Bobby Lagana was a long ways away, so he didn't come and tackle me this time.
Yes.
So I was watching around the corner because you never know about those boys. They're
yes,
they're pretty excited.
That's cool. I love the fact that the Lagana brothers have become such a big part of the team, and you guys you have fun, and most importantly, it's so obvious that the Capco team is always like really enjoying themselves, having fun, while also taking it seriously and in many ways dominating the sport. You are a winner at the Magic Dry Arizona National. So let's let the audience in on the conversation we had before we got started. I always wonder, the guys that are doing this every weekend, it's gotta hurt, right? It's gotta be sore. You gotta be sore. The car accelerating that hard. What about for you, like a guy who is, let's call you part-time, to wake up a day or two later after a win, after going 4 rounds? How does it feel? Like the body? How do you feel?
Well, I tell you what, it'll put the fatigue on you. You just the car contorts you, and you're twisted and in positions you don't even realize because that thing's tweaking all the way down through there and shaking. When I got out of the car after the final, my back was hurting, and being on point and all day and just for me, it's I don't do it enough to really be relaxed. So. Some of the guys probably do, but I tell you, it's a physical beating. You're sore for 2 or 3 days after a win, or I am.
I can imagine. No, it makes perfect sense. Just launching off the starting line the way you guys do, and then the deceleration of the parachutes has got to take a physical toll on everybody. You got to get into game shape, I would imagine. And being a occasional racer, you can't ever get into game shape. So you've already got a win. You're 1 for 2, or you're 1 for 1 here in the 2019 season. The next race is the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. From what I understand, it was not originally on your schedule. Are you, considering, rethinking, or is that maybe a possibility? How does that work, or are you guys locked into your schedule?
We're pretty much locked into our schedule. There's 4 of the guys on my team that also have full-time jobs, just like I do. And we had made our schedule out during the off season, and and this is Mama K's race team. I race by invitation only, Joe. So I don't know that I don't think I've received another invitation, but I think we'll probably be sitting that race out. But we're going to come back out and race the 4 wide at Vegas. I think we'll continue on and race at Houston, and they may have had me penciled in there for Atlanta. I like to go to Atlanta, and I got a lot of friends down there that I've raced with over the years, and maybe do that. And it'd be a dream come true to finish in that top 10, get out there and try to race that countdown.
There you go. I like it. Now, didn't you win Super Comp in Atlanta like 3 years ago?
I did, yeah.
See, so that's why. That's a happy place for you. And that, to me, Billy,
you bet.
That win told me something. Because I know you've been racing for a long time, but when you can go out, a part-time racer, and win Super Comp at the NHRA national event level, that says something. That says something about your ability to drive anything, and you did it. And so now you've got 2 wins in Top Fuel. It's great. Let me ask you one more question about something I know you like talking about, because you found out kind of by accident, which is the Pipeliner fan base, that they consider you, obviously one of their own, but you give them something to root for. And you didn't realize it until you won your first race in Brainerd. So what has it been like this time? Now you're a multi-time winner, and this group of hardworking Americans who are out there doing what they do, they've got someone they can relate to in this sport that does what they do, that's winning races on a multiple basis.
Well, literally, there's pipeliners across the country, and we get a lot of social media feedback. We send out hard hat stickers, the T-shirts that they sell out there with the side boom. That's a unique tractor to pipeliners, and they're all over the country. It's really been something, and I'll tell you what, that's a wild bunch of guys, all those pipeline guys, and they enjoy that Capco car. They root for us.
That is great stuff. Billy, thank you for making the time here to talk about your win out there at the Magic Dry Arizona Nationals. I think it's great. The sport needs fresh faces. They don't all have to be the same age, though. We can have all kinds of diversity in our sport, and I think you are doing it for a lot of people that like to see someone who goes out there, enjoys it, obviously has a good time, part of a racing family, helps make it possible, and actually takes the win as well. So great victory. Congratulations. And the debrief here on WFO was awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joe. I hope to talk to you several more times this year.
Yeah, well, and you know what? It's very possible the way this team is going and the way you're driving. So congratulations. Enjoy it, and we'll see you at the next one you're at. Billy, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Billy Torrence with us here on WFO Radio. And wow, that was great. Billy at the track is very focused and intense, and I loved hearing from him in that setting right there. He's kind of decompressed and just thinking back, and the more this Capco team wins, the more we get to know about them. And I kind of want to know what the audience thinks about this Capco team, family team. And you got Steve, who is outspoken from time to time, but also you can tell he's doing it for the love. You got Mama Kay, which is kind of, ma to the whole team. You got the Lagana brothers, who are obviously a family team that have been absorbed into another family team. And just very interesting. Richard Hogan, who's connected to Don Garlitz. He's from the Don Garlitz tree of tuning. Just so many great stories out there. And they have, if you look at the last 3 years of NHRA drag racing, it's really been a domination. 2 years ago, Steve dominated the season and had the crash at Dallas that tripped him up in the countdown. Brittany won the championship. Last year, it was a total destruction. Like, they dominated the series like few others have. Tony Schumacher and a few others. But it was total domination. And now this year, Steve made it to a final round. Obviously had a terrible race, but when they have a terrible race on Steve's car, Billy goes on and wins. And just to hear the way that they view themselves as a family operation. It's like so many super comp teams out there. They happen to be running Top Fuel. It's really interesting. And to see Billy super happy, he's one of the great personalities in NHRA. And it doesn't have to be all young people. And that's one of the hooks, and I get in debates with people all of the time about this, and it is a case-by-case basis. Should young people take over everything, right? Because in baseball, young people taking over everything. It's got to be young. You got to be in your 20s. Otherwise, you're over the hill. And at very least, 30s. How about football? Same deal, right? How many people do you know were trying to run Tom Brady out of the NFL this season? Be honest. Oh, he's lost a step and he's not as good and he can't get the job done. It's not the Brady we're used to. And oh, by the way, he won the Super Bowl. Oops. Now, I'm not saying he isn't as good as he once was. Obviously, everybody declines with age a little. But in drag racing, the car and your crew, it's like you have a super suit. And you can go out there and get the job done. And Billy Torrence, like there are people that see Billy and identify. Like, man, there's a hardworking guy like me who's going out there and living his dream. I want to do that. I'm going to root for that guy. So I just love our age diversity in the NHRA. It's something that I'm talking about on a regular basis. Age diversity. Nobody else has got it. I don't know who else has got it. I don't know. I can't think of it. Thanks to Billy for coming on the show. We got Jeg Coughlin. Jeg Coughlin going to be next up on the show. We got Beau Layne a little bit later on in the show. All coming on. Right now, I want to tell you about Samtech. Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction, but most of all, practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to block, head, and CNC programs, Sam now offers motorsport EFI tuning and an Associate of Applied Science degree. They're a military-friendly school. They're approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Full stop. Let's talk. Okay? Jobs that can't be outsourced, jobs that you can take your experience with you wherever you go, jobs that are in high demand in various industries. And Sam has all of those covered. Not to mention, they have many connections and personal relationships within these industries. So when you go to Sam and you do well and you learn a lot, there is a high probability that you're going to interact with and get a connection with someone that will be willing to hire you in your career that you're passionate about. Maybe it's racing, maybe it's working on a race team, maybe it's working at an engine shop, maybe it's nothing to do with racing, maybe it's in aerospace. Go to samtech.edu and see what I'm talking about, and you will see that they can put you on the right track wherever you want to end up, as long as it has to do with machining. And finally, our nation needs this. This is said over and over again. There's more job openings than there are people to fill the jobs. Samtech is doing their best to eliminate that. 713-683-3817. Give them a call. Tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. And finally, the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. Starting off at the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, we are going to have some very special and cool information about that. Just put that in your back pocket. We're going to ask you to do something. 713-683-3817, samtech.edu. We'll be back with Jeg Coughlin after this.
It ain't just wide open, it's WFO.
Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Whether you're a bracket racer who wants to get better or a thrill seeker looking to cross it off your bucket list, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School can put you on the right track. Don't believe me? Tell him, Frank.
No matter how little or how much experience you have, we've got a program for you. So if driving a dragster is on your bucket list, there's no better time than now. And if you'd like to be a pro, well, here's funny car champ, Jack Beckman.
Hey, this is Jack Beckman. Long before I was Fast Jack, I was a bracket racer who went to the Frank Hawley School. The time I spent there was some of the most exciting, intense, and fulfilling moments ever in a race car. I feel the curriculum Frank developed greatly helped me win not only the Super Comp, but also the NHRA Nitro Funny Car Championship. Frank put me on the right track. What are you waiting for?
Call them at 866-480-7223. That's 866-480-7223. Or visit frankhawley.com.
Get fired up on the WFO line.
WFO, Joe.
954-889-6796.
Just been an absolute joy to be a drag racing fan.
Go wide open, and your call may be used on the show.
Or preface by saying I'm not a Kurt Busch fan or apologist. I don't know where Greg Anderson's ego is gone, but
I know one person that's going to be a big-time villain in pro stock.
That's 954-889-6796. That phone line is always WFO.
Drag Racing Edge. That's the magazine. Subscribe online. Get the issues, $24.95. Keep up with your favorite sport, whether it be NHRA Mellow Yellow, Lucas Oil Series action. They cover drag radial. They cover it all. Drag Racing Edge magazine.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
The next couple of weeks of this podcast are going to be great, and I am encouraging you all to subscribe and check out the show. You know, you can bookmark the website, WFOradio.com. Our mobile application is second to none. You get push notifications. This is available. That's available. Check out this. Send your questions. That kind of stuff. The mobile app, iPhone, Android, iOS, you should definitely get that. Enable push notifications. Or just subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. And what is interesting is they send out a notification whenever something new is available. So once you subscribe, you're never going to miss a show. You can download it so you can listen on the plane, that kind of stuff. Our listener base is just growing and growing. We have been doing this for 10 years, and it has been great fun and also a struggle and so many things that'll all be in my book 10 years from now, right? And we've got great sponsors, too, like MagicDryUS.com. Yeah, open a browser, go to that one. MagicDryUS.com. We either tell you about CatspotLitter.com or MagicDryUS.com, but the fact of the matter is it is the same parent company, and it's made out of the same original product, which is coconut. 100% all natural, 100% organic, and can absorb 560% of its weight in liquid. It naturally controls odors with zero chemicals. It's biodegradable and environmentally friendly. It's very important. And, of course, a huge supporter of NHRA drag racing and even this show, WFO Radio. Think about it. Now, I got to speak with the Magic Dry guys out there at the Arizona Nationals, and I am thrilled that they are stepping up because the company has been very successful. Go to MagicDryUS.com, and you can read how it works. But the fact of the matter is that this is something that can be used in industrial applications. Now, if you got a cat and you got a couple cats running around the house, you're going to want to get cat spot litter. If you are working on a factory or a rig or in a big shop where you're spilling larger amounts and you need to get it up and keep it clean, MagicDryUS.com is where you're going to want to go. And they've got all kinds of testimonial videos up there, how to clean antifreeze, how to clean oil spill, how to clean transmission fluid, and basically what to do and how to get rid of it. It's a very cool deal. Go to MagicDryUS.com, check it out, or call them toll-free, 833-221-2257. You can order right from the website, which makes it super easy, and there's even a section for Magic Dry Racing. We can catch up with Scott Palmer and all the stuff going on. Yeah, I spoke with Scott, Ricky House, of course. I spoke with Scott after the run, and he said, stuck with it a little too long, but saved it, obviously, from going over. And thus is the learning curve. In the NHRA, these Top Fuel machines are beasts. The good news is that Scott had a whole army of people in his pit after it was all over that just love him to death. And that's really his legacy in drag racing right now, is that he's got a huge and intense fan base. MagicDryUS.com. Check it out. That is Magic Dry. All right, time to move on. He's a 5-time champ in pro stock, Jeg Coughlin Jr. Jeg, welcome back. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks, Joe, and obviously great to be back.
Yeah, huge win, and great start to the season with a big victory out there. Let's talk about the round by round. Of course, the big pro stock show this week, and a lot of opinions about it before it aired. I got to watch it. We'll talk about that later, but let's talk about the huge victory. Starting off with a round one matchup for the 100th time against Greg Anderson. You guys have raced 100 times. That's pretty big.
That is, you don't realize it, until you hear a stat like that. But, we've both been doing it darn near 20 years. And, we've run across each other that many times. And it's been fun. It seems like most of the runs have been later in the day than first round matchups. But, probably not a bad spot. Greg's been struggling for some reason, Pomona and Phoenix both. getting the car off the line in round one, which is what the problems we faced first round at Pomona. And so, to have a reversal from, first round and out to winning the race in Phoenix just 2 weeks later was a great rebound. And another cool thing was in round two, 8 cars remaining in Pro Stock, 5 of them were elite team, myself and 4 elite teammates. So we really feel like we've got our act together right now, and looking forward to the 50th anniversary Emily Gator Nationals coming up.
Oh, yeah, going to be great. 001 against Greg, you really were bringing it. Second round against Alex Laughlin. You mentioned an elite teammate, so to speak, with the elite power under the hood of Alex's car. 075 there, though. What was the story on the starting line?
Getting lynched. It was funny. First round, I was definitely set up pretty snug. I honestly didn't think I could be much better than 8 if I got it all against Greg, and came up 1. So made a small adjustment for round 2, which I thought would put me in my typical window of like 15 to like 25. And against Alex, he had gone through his burnout procedure and backed up, and on his pulling forward, he had a Heim on the clutch linkage, which obviously I didn't know at the time, although things were developing very slowly, to get pre-staged and staged and all that. So I felt like either he was up to some serious strategy games here or was having some trouble. And he come to his clutch was trying to engage with it fully depressed in. So, he had like 1,000 pounds of brake pressure trying to hold it just to get it to stage. And that's what took him so long to kind of get staged and ready for the tree to fire. And once he had staged, I was already in and went to the rev limiter. And as soon as he tried to give it the rev limiter and give it the gas, it pulled through the lights, and I could see it in my peripheral rolling and then taking off, and then the trees firing. So there's a lot going on in a very short period of time. But I let the clutch out, and the car was really the happiest it had been all weekend. It went out to the left a little bit and kind of rode through the gears. That takes about 4 seconds after you let the clutch out to get through 4 gears quickly, and just drove the car straight back into the groove. And there's a lot of bumps there at Wild Horse Pass Raceway, and for some reason this second round just stayed glued to the track, and was very thankful for that, because we've been kind of riding an amusement ride through qualifying in round 1 both, and as it would prove out, the rest of the day Sunday was the track really came around quite a bit at NHRA, and the safety safari just continued to rub on it. They've had a lot of cold weather and a lot of rain, so it just took some time for things to come in, but we capitalized on a strong performance there. Still lost lane choice, even with the 56 maybe that I ran.
Yes, 56 too.
Against Alex. And to another teammate, to Eric Enders, which kind of set us up for a semifinal dash for the cash for the final round to go.
There you go. Now, you mentioned in the TV broadcast, and everybody that didn't see the TV show, it was a special Pro Stock only TV show by the folks at Fox Sports 1, and dedicated to Pro Stock. Now, it happened on Tuesday, which is, some people are like, well, I already know the results, but we got full in-car communications from you guys, which is unique. And we heard you talk about spin. It got spinny. It got a little spinny down the track. And that's something that we don't often talk about, is that you guys have to deal with top-end tire spin in these cars.
Oh, absolutely. Again, in conditions like we had, where it was, very cool temperatures throughout the whole week, and then going into Sunday, we have to deal with conditions that aren't optimal. So the crew chiefs are working hard to get the cars to stay glued to the track so they can be efficient and accelerate and set good elapsed times down. But we just continued to struggle through that until round 2, round 3, and round 4. The track was very, very good, and we were able to actually get a little more aggressive with it. As we talked going into the semifinals, or from the second round against Alex, where the car kind of pulled out, Ricky Jones and the team made a couple of adjustments to get the car to track a little bit straighter on the launch, and was much more aggressive all the way around the horn and tires and gearing and clutch, etc., and launch RPM for that semifinal round against Erica. And we were definitely throwing the kitchen sink at it because, 2-time world champ there and one of the best in the business as well. So didn't want to take anything lightly and, let the clutch out. I was behind 100th, 29 on the treat, I think to her 18 maybe, or 16. 18. And the car was the best it had been really since last year. And straight as a string, banged through the gears just as quickly as I said it there and never looked back. So that set up a heck of a 654. Had lane choice by a couple hundredths over another teammate, Matt Hartford, in the final. So things were moving along well, and what looked like a kind of a so-so qualifying effort, a number 7 qualifying effort. We were parlaying that into a good final round showing.
Very Jeg Coughlin Jr.-like to win from any position on the qualifying sheet. You go to the final round against Matt. Matt was the Arizona native, and I know he wanted to win really bad, turned on the red light, but got max rounds. Max rounds in front of the hometown crowd, always great. They have no reason to hang their heads, but then didn't get down the racetrack either. You went 6:55, 7:2:10, won the race, and you're on the board in the 2019 season. But from what I understand, you will have a new car for the Amalie Motor Oil Gator Nationals, the 50th edition, and Erica running the new RJ car. She's loving it, and you're going to be switching over to that. So tell me about that, and the final race on this car goes out with a win. That's pretty big.
Yeah, that is pretty stellar, and this it's a Jerry Haas car that we've been running since Houston last year, and the car's been just fantastic. There's a couple of different kind of chassis configurations that most of the pro stock and pro builders kind of build by, and the current cars that Eric and I were racing last year, the way the cages were designed in them made the cars a lot more rigid, of which we had great success with up to that point. Rick and Haas and Ness, who kind of helped co-found the idea years and years ago, move the cage forward a little bit to stiffen up the back of the car and kind of loosen up the front of the car a little bit to make it a little more flexible, if you will. And Rick just did not have any in his arsenal. That's why we picked up the 2 Haas cars last year. And my team owner Richard Freeman and car owner Mark Stockseth decided to, at that time, put some new cars on order for Erica and myself, and build them with the cage forward design like most of the other traditional pro stock cars are today, and like Rick's built several dozen of them over the years. So it was nothing new to him, and we debuted Erica's at Phoenix Test right before Pomona, and the car was really, really good. Went to the finals in its debut race or went to semifinals at its debut race in Pomona, and was very, very fast. So we've got some learning to do, but a lot of promise in it. And, being the 50th anniversary Gator Nationals, my brother Mike and nephew Troy Jr. and I are doing throwback paint schemes. Cat's not completely out of the bag yet, so we'll let a little leak out, but honoring our Hall of Famer father, Jeg Sr., and Troy Jr.'s grandfather, honoring some of his past paint schemes that he's run the Gator Nationals with. So it's going to be fun. Not only a new car, but a 70s look for me. And I'm really excited about it, and can't wait to get there.
Thank you for the leak on WFO Radio. That's why people listen, because every now and again a little leaks out.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, exactly. And
if you can't believe radio, what can you believe?
Exactly.
Right?
No, this is absolute fact. Everything they hear on WFO, it's real news, definitely. Now, I love the idea of throwback paint schemes. Honestly, it's something that I have, we've seen really popular everywhere that it happens. And the more we can do, the better. We just need an excuse every once in a while. And the 50th Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals is certainly a great reason to do it. Let's look ahead to that. Okay, we got a couple of weeks. You are the most recent winner on the tour. You're on the board with a win. Those are all great ways to start out the 2019 season. But if there is one race, if there are 2 races to win this year, it's the U.S. Nationals, as is the case every year. But this milestone 50th Gator Nationals, everyone is bringing, their best energy. not only their best equipment, but their best energy to try to win this one. It's going to be special.
No doubt. Gainesville and the Gator Nationals has been a marquee event for the NHRA, obviously, for 50 years, celebrating this year. And as a kid growing up, I can remember like yesterday seeing, the folded National Dragster come in the mailbox with the champions. With the champions on the cover and their silver jackets. And, it was just really cool. There might have been maybe 8 national meets at the time, and that was certainly one of them, and one of the first one on the East Coast. And that's what's always made it fun for me as I've gotten into my racing career the last 20 plus years now is, Gainesville kind of hosts the first East Coast race of the new season. So the fans come from the whole East Coast, which is great. We get them from a lot of the islands that come into Florida to visit. So, there's a lot of hype that goes around this race, but being the 50th makes it all that much more special. And, we've put our check mark in the 50th win column for the Pomona, the NHRA 50th Nationals in the one only off event in July. So would love nothing more than to add this year's Gator Nationals to that.
Wow, how cool is that? Yeah, you mentioned a lot of throwback conversation right there, Jag. You're dating yourself a little bit. When they used to fold the National Dragster, it was like a newspaper type thing instead of like a high gloss magazine. But somewhat while you were talking about it, it made me think that there's something extra about the Gator Nationals for people who come from cold weather climate, like you in Ohio. I don't know what it's like early March there, but I would imagine it can be really cold. And years back, 70s, 80s, 90s, people weren't like flying everywhere all the time, moving around. Let's go take a vacation in Cancun, that kind of stuff. It was a little different back then. To get out of the winter was a big part of what was the magic of the Gator Nationals.
Well, and this is right in the heart of spring break season too, and always has been. In the 50 years it's been out there. So I think that, like you said, it's made a family destination as well for a lot of the families that have enjoyed the sport over the years. And that is a very true thing, because I can tell you, the thousands of kids that I've signed stuff for that today I'm signing stuff for their kids. And sharing the moment like that is very cool. And it's neat to see the sport just continue to develop. I'm still out there swinging, but and hope to be for a number of years to come.
Okay, Pro Stock Show, your thoughts. I don't expect that you watched the whole thing. It just aired last night for the first time. I got to watch the first half of it before we started running on WFO here. But, the concept, the first one, whatever it is, I thought it was good. I saw more Pro Stock in this first show than I've seen in a long time. But you as a Pro Stock racer who loves Pro Stock, who's spending a lot of money to be in Pro Stock, who's lived Pro Stock dream, to have a Pro Stock only show 5 times this year, give me your assessment, opinion.
It's I'm out the jury on it still. I guess it's new, and I'm not a creature of old habit. I don't mind change. I think it was extremely exciting to see the show and to see some of the personalities of the other drivers come out on the show. Like much of that has happened in some of the top fuel and funny car classes over the years. But we'll have to see how these pilots. How they go, to have it aired on Tuesday night, I think was not what originally the NHRA and the Fox Group were looking to have happen, but certainly, too soon to tell. I thought the show went off well. I was able to see it. We're on family vacation right now with Jeg the Third and Carly and Samantha and some friends. So we're able to take it in last night and thought it went off well. And we'll be interested to see the next 3 shows as, there's a whole show under their belt. But, there's nothing to say that the show couldn't stand on its own. I would certainly, support that without question. But also it'd be neat to see some of the personalities and the airtime that was produced in last night's show, fold its way into the Sunday show, the traditional Sunday show, of which we're going to be in the other 14 races this year. So hopefully we can get a little blended effect there and just continue to build the sport. That's we're entertainers, I guess, as they say, and our goal is to get out and do just that, not only for the naturally for the fans at hand, but all the listeners and viewers on the internet and also on the Fox broadcast shows. So it's going to be an exciting year, and we'll see how things develop.
I agree. No, I agree. I think I couldn't have said it better. It's the first time out, but what it says to me, though, is that they're thinking about ways to improve the coverage for Pro Stock, which is great, as opposed to what if they weren't thinking about ways to improve coverage for Pro Stock? That would be bad. So
absolutely.
We'll have to wait and see.
All for that.
There you go. Jeg, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Coming on WFO Radio, talking about your win at the Magic Dry Arizona Nationals, first of many this year. I have no doubts. I look forward to watching you for the remainder of the season. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Great to be on.
Jeg Coughlin Jr. with us here on WFO Radio. All right, journalists, as heard on WFO Radio podcast, Jeg Coughlin mentions throwback paint schemes to be run at the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. Yeah, he drops it out here on the show, and that's one of the reasons that you got to subscribe. We got Beau Layne coming up, Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley Davidson, going to be next up on the program. But first, I want to tell you about Dr. Hengstifer, who started in 1937, and the family continues to uphold his vision of manufacturing the highest quality products available. They offer them to all markets of the world and the technical experience to maximize their performance. And what do they do? Well, they've got over 100 affiliates throughout the world, and some of the best products available to improve your metal working processes. For example, they've got a technical sales team to service and support your needs. They've got full laboratory facilities staffed with experts in their field and local stock and inventories totaling more than 5,000 drums. Hengstifer's products offer consistent and reliable performance and the best value available. What is their ultimate goal, though? Lower production cost and reduce waste to make you more efficient. Do you have a shop? Do you have a machine shop? What are you using? Are you working in a factory? They can help you with their highly refined petroleum, synthetic, and vegetable-based products. Go to Hengstifers.com. Check out the story. You can give them a call, 856-468-0216. Or in North America, 800-433-LUBE. That is Hengstifers Laboratories and Hengstifers.com. When we come back, we're going to delve into Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley Davidson with Beau Layne. First time after this.
Everybody, listen carefully.
Now you listen to me. Why do you listen? WFO, you guys are number one. Honest. Listen.
Hey, racers and race fans, I want to tell you about the motorsports guys. Terry McMillan from Elkhart, Indiana, has got a new venture, and we want you to hit the website. They've got all kinds of great new parts, pieces, filters, oils on there, including Amelie's new Pro Racing 70 oil with Molly. It's used by many professional drag racers, including Terry McMillan, for larger turning curves and avoiding those drop cylinder moments. It saves bearings and crankshafts and provides more compression with better ring seal and less fuel in your oil. You can get it at motorsportsguys.com. We'll carry Amelie, they carry Wolf's Head Oil and Lubricants, Molly Filters, K&N Filters, All-Star Performance Racing, and high-performance parts from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive. It's going to be a one-stop shop. They're going to have it all. But most importantly, oil, Amelie, better than it has to be since 1903, available at motorsportsguys.com. Check it out. Bookmark it, motorsportsguys.com. Terry McMillan stepping up as a supporter of WFO Radio. Check him out, motorsportsguys.com.
Android and iPhone users, download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market, search WFO Radio, and download it now.
Hey, WFO Radio listeners, if you're in the northern part of the country, I know you're freezing right now. You know what would be great? A hot cup of Rodax coffee. Maybe a little hot sauce, a little spice rub for that food you're cooking in the oven. Check out RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. They've got over 40 single original coffees to choose from, plus custom blends like Bang the Blower and WFO Radio. Their coffee represents the top 5% of coffee grown throughout the world, and it's all roasted fresh per order. They've got limited edition, seasonal, and rare micro lots. They've got exotic. Go to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com or just pick up the phone. 817-924-6821. Keep your ear out for those WFO holiday packs. Depends on the holiday what the deal is, but Marvin is wheeling and he is dealing. 817-924-6821 for RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
NHRA Podcast. NHRA Nitro Podcast. WFO Radio NHRA Nitro Podcast. If you want to find the show, you just put those in and you will find it. We have been doing this for a while, and we have just really started into the world of the Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley-Davidson category because I am coming to really enjoy it. Not just the bikes and the sound, but the people. I will be very honest with you as we get Beau Layne queued up that, I'm a fan. You know what? I'll tell you this in my time at the tail end of the show. But I'm a fan of these bikes, but I'm also a fan of Pro Stock Motorcycle, but I'm not knowledgeable about motorcycles at all. At all. Not really at all. And I have my reasons, and I'll explain. But, I know a lot of people are like car guys, and there's bike guys and girls, and some crossover. And I am not knowledgeable about motorcycles on the street, but I love drag racing. And so as the Top Fuel Harleys came in, I had a whole series of thoughts. I'll touch on that during my time at the tail end of the show. But right now, I got to tell you about Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School and the Dragster Adventure. One of my favorite sponsors, as in they are all my favorite. But Frank Hawley's Dragster Adventure, first of all, to me, it is the epitome of what Frank is all about. Coming up with ways for the casual observer / fan / adrenaline junkie to do something that they wouldn't normally be able to do, right? People over the years, they go skydiving, they go bungee jumping, they do lots of things to try to get the adrenaline. People love the adrenaline. And I know from my own personal experience that there are few things that I would want to do that give you more adrenaline than drag racing. The feeling of the acceleration and controlling the experience is second to none. But how on earth could you possibly know that? And your street car is just not quick and fast enough. And I doubt that there's someone at your local track that's going to hand over the wheels of their Super Comp dragster, rear-engine dragster to you so you can get it. And even if they did, you'd have to get you have to go through the licensing, and you'd have to get all the safety equipment. It would take a whole lot of effort to do it. Frank has made it simple. That you and your friend, your buddies, your group, your bachelor party, your sales team, your best clients can all get together and go through the Dragster Adventure. And that's exactly what it is. You get 3 runs, 1 half-track, 2 full-track passes. You get all kinds of instruction from Frank Hawley. You're going to go 130 miles an hour in the quarter mile, which is quick and fast. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. And most importantly, they come to a variety of tracks. One may be near you. So pick up the phone and call 866-480-7223. That's 866-480-7223. Check out the schedule. Remember, I've been telling you about the Dragster Adventure at Gainesville Raceway, March 29th. You can go be one of the first people on the new track surface. Yeah, not anymore. Sold out. 0 seats left. You missed it. I've been telling you. Auto Club Dragway. April 19th, 11 seats left. April 26th, Auto Club Dragway, Fontana, California, 10 seats left. May 25th, Joliet, Illinois, 9 seats left. I've been watching these numbers go down. Baytown in June, 10 seats left. Woodburn Dragway, 14 seats left. On June 28th, June 29th, there's 9 left. Norwalk, 8 left. You're going to have to start some new dates, Frank. This thing is almost sold out for the whole season. It's all right, because then I will start convincing people to go on Super Comp licensing courses or for the bracket race to figure out how to win a race. Do you know that most people that bracket race never win a race? Never win. Most people, a whole lot of them, never get to the 3rd round of racing. And there's a lot to be learned at Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. You get my point. Go to frankhawley.com or pick up the phone, 866-480-7223. It is the Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com. And tell them you heard about it on WFO, even if you didn't. All right. Joining us now, he was the Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley-Davidson winner out there in Arizona. He got the job done. Huge victory, second in the point standings. Mr. Beau Layne. Beau, welcome to WFO. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
So, this is a pretty big win. For one reason, a win for yourself. Number two, Doug Vansel was like running away with it. I'm sure a lot of people came up and gave you a pat on the back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people are glad to see Doug didn't take two in a row for sure. But, yeah, we worked pretty closely with Doug, so it was bittersweet.
Well, exactly. So you guys kind of working together. Let's talk a little bit about this category in general, in that you are back for another year. And it's kind of cool to watch it all play out, the way that Mickey Thompson Topfield Harleys are being received in the NHRA. What is your perspective of that?
Oh, it's great. The fans love it, having a good time. You know, they always somebody at our pits talking, asking questions. Love watching us. It's good, fun to see the looks on their face.
You ended up qualifying fifth. It seemed like a pretty consistent weekend for you. You guys were going down the track, and that seems to be what it takes to win one of these.
Yeah, you know, we have a lot more in the bike. We made some changes on the off season. Me and my crew chief Jack Romine trying to get it figured out, get it together, get on the same page. But yeah, we're hoping for a little better. But yeah, it paid off this week in the consistency for sure.
First round, you had to go up against Ricky House, and he was the most hungry of all the racers. He had to be. He's at the Magic Dry event. He's sporting the Magic Dry colors. We spoke with him in the pits, and he said that he felt like the bike was running real well, but he was a little all over, and you were able to get down there and take the stripe.
Yeah, Ricky's always a tough one. You never know with him. I mean, he's always good for a mid-20s pass every race, it seems like. And I figured it was going to be against us that round, but yeah, we got lucky. We were on it. We were waiting for it, and yeah, we got fortunate on the lucky side of that round.
Yeah, not that lucky though. That was your quickest run of the weekend, if I'm correct, right?
Quickest run of my career.
So you didn't get lucky, Beau. Come on now. I call you out on that one.
Well, yeah, we got lucky that Ricky didn't go quicker. Let's put it that way.
There you go. So you got to feel great, though. Now, why were you able to put it together in that round one? I know the weather conditions were like some of the best of the weekend.
You know what? Just little by little, we've been chipping away at it. You know, it wasn't luck by any means, but we had some good low numbers and Pomona testing. We had some good low numbers, so we're finally getting it together, getting it figured out.
Just like everything else, the bottom end, you know, the first 60 feet is where you can decide whether you're going to have a great run or not, and it seems like that's the same for you guys.
Exactly. Yeah, getting those first times is real important.
Second round, Kevin Boyer, you were going to run, and he had a problem in the fuel system. At least that's what he indicated to me. I haven't double checked with him at this point, but he was, you know, gutted, just heartbroken at the moment, but those are the breaks, as they say, and you got to buy into the final.
Yeah. So after the burnout, I looked over and I seen he had stopped, and you know, got the signal that it was gonna be a solo. Which again, we got lucky because we dropped the hole at about maybe 900 feet and slowed down.
Yeah, there's where you got lucky. That's where the luck came in. And then the final round against Doug Vansel. So you already mentioned you guys kind of work closely together, the Romines, of course. And they're tough. But at the same time, the competition, if they go out and win the first two races of the year, they've got a big leg up. Now, last year, they had a big leg up as well, and it came apart, and they lost it right at the end. But that's not going to happen 2 years in a row for those guys. Like, I don't think so. I think they're too good for that. So this was a big round win for everybody, and you came out on top.
Yeah, I did. It was, yeah, we were going up there realizing that, you know, but the first goal was to cut a better light than Doug, because that was going to be give us our best chance to win. And I seen him get out on me, and I figured that was it. And then all of a sudden he disappeared, and that was that.
And going on to victory, and how does that feel when, you know, the competition has fallen by the wayside and you know they're not going to come around, but you still are on one of these Nitro beasts and things can get out of control instantly. And so I'm sure that's kind of a challenging feeling. Like, I got to get it from here to there, and hopefully nothing goes wrong, and I'll win.
Yeah, when he disappeared, it wasn't over by all means. You know, you never know. You know, I could drop a hole and he could come up, comes blazing up next to me. So just tuck down and hope for the best. And yeah, you never seen him again. Worked out.
When light comes on, what does that feel like?
Oh, it's great. That's that's my first win, first Wally. That was like I've been saying, dream come true. With a lot of hard work, a lot of teamwork. Jack Romine, my crew, my family. It was took a lot of work to get there, and a little bit of luck.
And your 2018 season was challenging in that, we'd heard the story about the wildfires and all, and you guys, other things on your mind. Let's put it that way, like really important stuff kind of invading the racing space in your mind. You had to think about real life stuff. Is that all behind you, and are you able to like fully put everything you've got into this endeavor?
Yeah, I am. Last year was the rookie season, so you got all the downs that come with that, the learning curves and all that good stuff. And we had the wildfires around here, which changes things for you. But everything's good, ready to go, ready to battle for this championship. Stay right up there with Dougie in the points.
Oh, that is awesome. All right, now let me ask you a couple of things since your first time on WFO. In that you work on hot rods and restoration, correct? I want people to know like you're a hands-on kind of guy out there during the week. You're cutting and building and making and doing. What's some of the stuff you work on?
We do Harleys and mostly older cars. Fabrication, restoration style stuff. A lot of airbags. Putting motors in cars, taking the old cars and getting them where they're a little more comfortable to ride on the streets nowadays.
Yeah, that's a very popular thing. And if I was going to have one of those older whatevers, I would definitely want it to be a little more comfortable. Some modern amenities.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what is your take on the supercharged bikes? Is it the same as Doug? I've been asking, just kind of unscientifically around because the category is wide open. Here we got Bob Malloy's got a direct drive bike, and we've got just different things going on, which I think is really neat, and I like it. But also, I see all these other categories that have kind of gone through that period and spend each other into the ground. And so I'm kind of wondering, like, what does each racer, since there's only between 12 and 15 of you on any given weekend. That's enough for me to ask every one of you, like, what do you think about the way this category is going? The supercharged bikes, they're definitely going to be faster. Maybe we'll put one in the 5s. That would be awesome. Apparently, it's very challenging to get one to run. And so even if you get one and you're out there, you got no guarantees it's going to go down the racetrack and you're going to win. We saw that with Jay this past week and, grenaded one. But where's your head at with this, kind of pushing forward with the superchargers?
I see both sides of the story. I understand, Jay, and there's a few other guys out there that put their a lot of work and a lot of time and energy in building these bikes. The way I see it is last year we had such a great showing. It was great for the class. Most of us are average Joes, working folk. You know what I mean? We can't afford to have big teams and a lot of extra hands on deck to compete. It's not feasible for us. So I like the way things are now. Or let's say without the superchargers. For example, he goes out and runs it, qualifies number 1 and doesn't make it in the show. I mean, that's not a good showing for the Harley class. I don't believe. That's my thoughts. I'm sure there's a lot of people who disagree and don't like hearing me say that, but we got something good now. Why ruin it?
Well, and that's why I'm giving everybody the opportunity to just put it out there, because I think, you guys come on the show and as everybody, wins a race or cycles through, we'll get an opportunity. I asked Ty about it this weekend, and he said, listen, these bikes are so hard to get to go down the racetrack that it's very challenging. And so we're at a disadvantage initially. And so, he wants to see them and he thinks it's going to be great for the fans. And I just don't know. I really don't know. I'm over my head when talking about these machines, but I do know drag racing, and I know how it gets really tough, and we need a bunch of bikes out there. We need to have, let's call it 10 to 15 bikes showing up to make it fun, and so we want that to happen. And so I've been posing the question. Thank you for going on the record.
Yeah, there's one thing to consider too. If Jay goes out there and starts dominating, you think Vance and Hines is going to stand by and watch that? And I can't compete with Vance and Hines. So you're opening a can of, open up a whole new can there when you do this.
Right. Well,
and a lot of us guys won't be able to compete and keep up. That's the bottom line.
And well, exactly. And I appreciate you laying it out. Next big race, Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, a huge event, the 50th. That would be a special one to win.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's gonna be a big event, one to remember. Looking forward to that one for sure.
Next race on the tour. Beau, thank you very much for coming on WFO Radio Podcast. I appreciate it. Congratulations on a big win, your first win, a career best. That's a great weekend from what I can tell. Let's keep it going, man. Go get a couple more. Come back on the show.
Will do. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Beau. Beau Layne with us here on WFO Radio. How about Beau? First time on WFO, career best, won the race. The Supercharger story is one that I feel like I'm the only one covering it, as if it's a controversy. And it's because I want to give this category what we would do with anything else. There is a little controversy going on. There are people that do not agree about the direction of the category. And I'm asking, that's what I do. I've done it with Pro Stock for years, to, ad nauseum to some people. If you're not a Pro Stock fan, we spent a lot of time the last 2 and 3 years, like what can we do to fix Pro Stock? And I'm happy to say that some of the things that we have discussed have been, not because of us, but have happened. People have been saying that we needed to shorten the schedule for many years, and it hasn't been unanimous, but they shortened the schedule. And look, just want to say the category that has had the best, strongest entry list so far in the Mellow Yellow Series has been Pro Stock. Funny car also. But Top Fuel Harley, there is a fork in the road, and we're at it. Like Yogi Berra said, got to take the fork in the road. But which way do we go? One direction is leave things as they are. The regulators, the rules makers, intervene and say, stop innovating down the road of the Supercharger. Not because we don't think it's cool, but because we want to make sure that we have enough participants in the future. And several of our participants have said, we can't afford to do that. We can barely afford to do this. And if we all of a sudden find that all of our things are antiquated because now the Supercharger bike is working and those guys who are running it are romping on the field, we can't compete anymore, and so why bother? That's like one fork in the road. The other fork in the road is this is drag racing, and innovation is part of drag racing, and we need to just do it. And if they can't keep up, sorry. But we believe that they will choose to keep up because drag racers are drag racers, and that's what they do. And every time something new comes down the pike, like what if Bob Malloy's direct drive bike turns out to be the thing, and then everybody's got to go get a direct drive bike, and now they're all going out there doing that. And innovation is one of the things that keeps the sport going. That's the other argument. It's really strong. And so Jay Turner is obviously doing it. They were running great until they blew up. More explosions. Is that going to be part of this? A 5-second run. Is that going to be part of it? I am not taking a side, by the way. Just trying to get to a consensus or at least present the opinions. And so, like I mentioned Ty Tharp. It's unfair that Ty hasn't been on the show yet to ask him about it, but I asked him, like, hey, what do you think? And he said, we should build them. They're going to be more exciting. They're going to be faster. The fans are going to love them. It's hard. It's really challenging, he told me. It's very challenging. And so that's good. And it's not easy. And so people should do it. And I respect Ty because he's been great coming on the show. He won a world championship. Talked to Doug Vansel, Beau Layne. They're like, nah. And Beau said flat out, Vance and Hines goes and does something. I can't necessarily keep up with them. They are the factory. And they are. So it's interesting. Email me your thoughts, joe@wforadio.com. All right, when we come back, it's going to be my time, meaning tail end of the show, meaning where I give you my opinions about the Pro Stock show and about Harley-Davidson and Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley and the category and bikes and anything else I come up with over the next 3 minutes. Stay tuned. But right now, I've got to tell you about Drag Racing Edge magazine. On board with WFO, we got Johnny D queued up next week, a new edition coming out. and you're going to want to get it. So why not go to DragRacingEdgeMagazine.com and sign up and subscribe and just get a little more drag racing in your life. Also, EV3 Drag Racing. They've got the WFO tournaments still going on. Many of our listeners playing, trying to win their way on WFO radio. And I have farmed off the sending out the prizes, so it will happen more reliably. They happened, but it was just taking longer. Allow 12 to 14 weeks for delivery. We'll be back with my time after this.
This is WFO Radio.
Oh, the sound of a tiny kitten. How great is that? Maybe you should get one. But then, what are you going to do about the litter box? The only downside to having a cat. The litter box. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with the litter box? And the answer is CatSpotLitter.com. The folks at CatSpot have developed something new. Their litter is made with one simple ingredient, and that's coconut. It has no harmful allergens, no chemicals for your feline friend or you, because you got to get in there. CatSpot is 100% all natural. It's both odor eliminating and hypoallergenic. It's made right here in America, and the best part about it is they support NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing on the side of Scott Palmer's car, guys like Dom Lagana, guys like Joe Castello and WFO Radio. That guy is awful. CatSpotLitter.com. You got to check it out. New supporter of WFO Radio.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Castello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
This is Jeff Rice, a.k.a. Deep and Hot. I just want to let you know that NHRA Nitro is probably the best coverage of NHRA drag racing, period. How can you not like a 3.5-hour broadcast with all the winners specifically for drag racing? WFO rules the airwaves.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Final segment, WFO Radio Podcast, NHRA Nitro. We do more than one show each week, and we also do some specific extra bonus content for people we call the Patreons, because they support the show directly on patreon.com/WFO Radio, which you can find directly on our WFOradio.com website. Now, why would anybody do that? Of course, why? Why would anybody pay extra for extra content when they can get the show for free? And the answer is the show is free. It'll always be free. We've got some sponsors. I should take that back, that it'll always be free, because the world is ever changing and maybe one day it won't be free, but right now it's free. And we chase around sponsors and marketing partners who want to get to our audience and understand that we have got a very devoted and devout audience. But some people, in addition to that, they like to support the show on patreon.com/WFO Radio. And what do they get? They get some special shows and behind-the-scenes content and different stuff as a bonus. But really, they're supporting this show. And so thank you to them. And if you'd like to join them and be a part of the patreon.com/WFO Radio community, people who are the true insiders who get, like, if I might have a concept for this show that might be terrible, and I'm going to run it by them first, right? Like, what do you guys think about this? And I run it by them, and maybe we do a little test bed, and it doesn't work, and then it never sees this show, and I thank them for that. Or maybe it kills, and it's great, and then we bring it on this show. Who knows? So patreon.com/WFO Radio. You can find us right from the WFOradio.com website. And maybe join that community of the bonus stuff. All right, so there's a lot going on. I want to talk about the Pro Stock Show. I want to talk about motorcycles in general. I want to talk about NHRA.TV. I want to talk about eCopo. All of these things are on my mind. And very interesting stuff going on. Very interesting. Got some feedback from listeners. You can always send me stuff, joe@wforadio.com. You can send voicemails to our WFO wide open line. I save my opinions for the tail end of the show because I do multiple shows here. And really, I don't think that my opinions are the most important thing that's going on. If you care, you'll stick around to the end of the show. And if you don't care, if you're just a fan of Beau Layne or you're a fan of Jeg Coughlin, you might check out. I hopefully will entice you to listen to this point. And if you are hearing me say this, then I have already done so. So just get to it, dummy. And I will. And I will. Going through the WFO voicemail, I did find one that I had missed about NHRA.TV. But there is a common thread that I will extend. Starting off with the Pro Stock Show. Man, come on, people. First of all, the WFO audience, this is probably not you. But I'm going to mention it. We have got such a reactive group of people out there who follow this sport. And I really think it's because drag racing is full of go-getters, right? People who are doers and makers and get out there and we're aggressive people. It's not really a passive audience. And so when the NHRA.TV switch happened, everybody went right to the social media and screamed and yelled and complained and were angry for the first 3 hours. And then they realized, let's call it 3 days. Let's call it 5 days. But this weekend I heard nothing. I thought it was crickets. And the answer is because everything worked, and it's working much better than it had in the past. And it has been really solid from everybody that I've been hearing from. Like, yeah, man, this stuff just works. It just works flat out. And nobody went on the social media to say, you know, the thing I said last week, man, it actually was kind of over the top and, aggravated and angry. But really, this thing is working really good. And so I got a voicemail that I wanted to share about the subject. And I'm going to roll that into the whole Pro Stock Show. But let's first listen to the voicemail from one of our WFO radio listeners, Deep and Hawk.
Hey, this is Jeff, Deep and Hot calling. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little check-in because I was the crotchety old bastard that didn't want to sign up or pay for anything. And I signed up for the NHRA TV and was pleasantly surprised. It actually worked on both my television in the house through Roku, worked on my Pixel 2 smartphone. It works on my laptop. And I was able to watch all of the racing, as much as could be said with the rain and all that. But I was pleasantly surprised. And then to top it off, the icing on the cupcake was Monday when I accidentally left one of the TVs on and it was still up but signed off, and I clicked it back on and I went up on top and started looking, and I started looking, and they had some of the classic races back from a decade ago, and they were fun to watch all by themselves. So I want to thank NHRA TV and WFO for being persistent and pushing me and allowing me to waste an incredible amount of time watching television when I should be out working on my race car. So it's just great. So I just wanted to touch base with you and let you know that I think the value for the money is great. I think I figured it out. It was like $5 a race for the whole year. So you can't beat that deal. Anyways, that's all I got. So WFO rocks. You guys are doing great. Keep it up, Gio. Don't let them push you around. Talk to you later. Bye.
There you go. Jeff Deepenhawk weighing in on the wide open line, 954-889-6796, or you can just record right into your mobile device and email it to me at joe@wforadio.com. You know, every iPhone has got voice memos, and the Android phones have it as well, and you just click record, and you record yourself. Hey, Joe, this is what I think, and play it back. I know if you're not an audio industry professional, it's kind of tough to just talk to nobody, but you know, figure it out, right? Figure it out. Record yourself and then play it back. Oh, that sounded great. Although you will hate hearing your own voice, as most people do. And then email it over, joe@wforadio.com. Now, what he said, here's a guy who's a convert, right? Yes, you do end up watching a lot of drag racing, but you're a drag racing fan. Back to the whole doers and makers and go-getters and people would rather be drag racing than watching drag racing. Yeah, I guess so. But if we've got a sport of only participants and no fans, then we're going to have a tough time, right? It's not going to go anywhere. You got to have fans, too. Nobody's out there like, oh, man, I want to be an NFL player and trying to be a player. No, we've got fans, too, people that care enough to watch. And that's what NHRA.TV is all about. And here on Race 2, It worked so good that I haven't heard anybody about it. And so all those people that were like freaking out and burning the place down with gasoline the first week that didn't bother to get on there and say, oh, my God, I'm enjoying my experience. This is great. The second week, that is something, whatever that is something that's happening in our culture with everybody. And, yeah, I'm preaching a little bit because it's my time. And let's draw that connection to the Pro Stock Show. The Pro Stock Show. Before the show even aired, a lot of people went and got their gasoline and poured it around the foundation and lit it on fire, and themselves too, right? Screaming and complaining about how bad it was going to be. And I already told you, I watched only 25 minutes because and this is my fault, any event that I want to watch on DVR, I am smart enough to know to record the event and whatever happens after the event, because it's following a live sporting event, and live sporting events inevitably go long. And you can all complain about it, but it's just the way television is because of the Heidi game that happened way back in the 1970s. And you should all know that. Everybody should know television history to the letter, especially the Heidi game. And you're never going to break away from something that is live, a live sporting event. Never. And you should be happy because they don't do it with NHRA drag racing. Imagine. And now the final rounds, Brian Loans is on there, Tony Pedregon is on there. We got the and it goes away for the start of the next game, whatever it is, the next thing. You would freak. Rightfully so. So when the basketball game, college basketball, comes on and goes into overtime, as this one did, inevitably that's what happens, they push everything back and run it to its conclusion. Be happy for that. You should be smart enough, as I was not. I'm being critical of myself because I was tired. I just got off a plane. I hit record. I didn't think about it. I didn't watch what was on before it, and I made that mistake. My bad. That is my fault. It has nothing to do with the network. It has nothing to do with NHRA or Fox Sports or anybody other than me. Not knowing how TV works, or knowing and just being exhausted and not thinking about it. So I missed out. But the first half that I saw was great. Why? Because the Pro Stock guys are the stars of the show. And as Alan Reinhart said, and we have talked about many, many times, when you have 330 mile per hour, 11,000 horsepower, flaming machines accelerating 0 to 100 in less than 1 second, it's really difficult to explain to the audience that these 6.5 second, 212 mile per hour machines are cool too. It's just really hard. It takes a really intense fan. And someone like me or Alan or Brian or someone else or Greg Anderson or Jeg Coughlin to go really deep and in depth into it. Explaining, and even then, the casual fan may or may not pick it up, but you know who does love it are every bracket racer in the country, every sportsman racer in the country, every person with a stock or super stock car, all love Pro Stock. And when I go to the Citrus Nationals with my own car and kind of get together with my bracket racing community that I hang out with infrequently but occasionally, what do they ask me about? It's not John Force. And it's not Brittany Force, and it's not Capco, and it's not about any of that. They ask me, quote, what are they doing to Pro Stock? Don't they know we all love Pro Stock? And the answer is no, they don't know you love Pro Stock. They don't know anything unless you call and tell them. And judging by the way people are, you only hear negative things. You never hear positive things. You never, oh, man, I just want to tell you, manager of said restaurant, that I had a wonderful meal, and my server was great and attentive, and they did a great job, and they should get a raise. Does that ever happen? The answer is no. It never, ever happens. And if you say, I do that, you do it maybe once out of 10 times, but not every time, because that would take a whole lot of your time. And so nobody ever does it. But when things go bad, boy, do you let everybody know. And you get out the gasoline and you burn the thing to the ground, especially on social media. Now, why am I fired up about it? Well, I have had this occur to me personally a couple of times very recently. Like, I didn't receive my thing in the mail, and I'm going to burn you down on social media and wait and see. It's like, I think it showed up on Saturday. Oh, yeah, that's right, it did. I got it, sorry. Oh, are you okay? Please respond. Just checking to make sure everything's cool. No response, because all was right in the world. They received their thing. And that is human nature. And so everybody went to the web and they started talking about how terrible the Pro Stock show was going to be and how terrible a deal it was going to be. And it turned out to be pretty great what I saw. And here's an email from, John Fickus from Cold, Iowa. Hey, Joe, love the Pro Stock special. Tell Reinhart the only way to make the show better is to add super stock. Yeah, it could be like stock special. I couldn't find a place on Fox or NHRA to leave a comment, and I don't do Facebook or Twit, so he emails me. You know what, John? Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to email something positive. The pro stock racers are the stars of the show. There's no confusing what they are or what they do. You can talk about 3 horsepower per cubic inch just about. You can talk about the clutch. You can focus in on everything because you have got a home for it. Now, where they aired it on Tuesday night, yeah, that could be worked on. In my perfect world, there's a 3-hour allotment for NHRA on most Sunday afternoons. And the first hour would be Nitro, and the third hour would be Pro Stock. That's what I would do. And from what I understand, that is something that is going to happen on the remainder of these shows. Or something similar. Same day, same area, same 6-hour period, something like that. And that has a lot to do with the network, and there are things that NHRA is not in control of. And so what I would say is, like, you've seen it, you watch it. Everybody goes on there and just burns things down, and then they realize it's great, and then they never come back and say, oh, my gosh, I was so wrong. That was awesome. What I saw was great, and I could tell you from my 20-plus years in broadcasting, watching, right, that this will be good for NHRA Pro Stock. It will be good because they can reach out to their own fans, technical fans, fans that like the idea of the high technology and maybe are less interested in the craziness of Nitro. They will be able to cultivate their own fan base. There was more Pro Stock talk in one place than ever before. And even if that's not the case, it sure felt that way. How many times have you sat with the stopwatch during the regular show and did like top fuel, 10 seconds. Okay, funny car, 10 seconds. Okay, Pro Stock, 3 seconds. And timed out the whole show. How many times have you done that? The answer is never. Nobody does that. There's somebody that does that, but it's not me and I don't know him. And since I'm, at the events and I come back and want to watch on NHRA.tv because I want to see me, but I got to keep track of all of it as best as I can. But I'm an advocate for new ideas, and this is a new idea. Think about it. ProMod gets their own show, and Pro Stock is buried inside the Nitro show, and they, skip over first round, and they show an occasional burnout, and you don't get to know the guys. How can it ever succeed doing only the same thing that they've ever done? I think this is probably the way of the future, and it will probably end up being very well received. And so, to the people that, first thing, before it even could possibly air, poured the gasoline out, lit it on fire. Whatever that is, we got to stop that because it's bad. Bad behavior, bad behavior. Going to social media to crap out negativity when it's actually a good thing and then failing to go back. All right, let's get into a couple other things that have received negativity. Right? This is me being a company man now for the NHRA, except not really, because I'm a contractor and I could be just blown out at any second. And I would still think that this was the right thing to do. Like Friday. I would be sad if that happened, by the way. Friday, when cars are not getting on the racetrack, I did the thought experiment, and I would encourage you all to do the same thing. What if they had said, we're not going to try? What would have happened? That's the thought experiment that there was debate, and it was very interesting to be in the middle of it all. Being on the starting line and watching the players decide how they were going to handle this situation of a very cold track temperature and some traction tires that were not what they had thought that they were going to be on the dragging machine, and all of these elements. Now, was it the cold? Was it the tires? Was it, who knows? Now, I can tell you from my independent research that the counter-rotating, dragging tractor things, they have, typical Goodyear tires that are given to them from the teams after they are taken off the tires. But those tires have to be changed minimum of 4 times per weekend. So the Goodyear engineers are like, we can save you the time that it takes to take all those tires off and put them back on, which is a pretty decent amount of time. How much time? I don't know. By creating tires with the same rubber compound, but the tread will be much thicker. And so one set of these new tires will go for the entire weekend. And so that sounds like a great idea. And so they did that. And those tires were in use on one of the counter-rotating tractors, as best as I know, and the research I have done independently. They were on one of the tractors at Pomona, while the other tractor had the regular, old-school, taken off Top Fuel Team tires. And nobody complained, and there was no problem, and everything went fine. But this given weekend, both of the tractors had the newer tires that are supposed to last the full weekend. And teams noticed that. There was even a different sound to the dragging. But at the same time, track temperature was like 84 degrees on Friday, and it was moist and wet, and it had been raining all day, and it was really cold. It was cold. It was not comfortable. It was cold. And so as we're getting to roll out, people are wondering, like, are we going to get down the track? Is it going to be a problem? Is it going to be a challenge? Should we be doing this? What's the story? People were debating. And we didn't have any running on the track all day because it rained all day. And we were trying to put on a show. They were trying to put a show on for the fans who showed up. At that point, if they had said, we're not even going to try. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make this announcement that after spending all day, we've decided to throw in the towel and not put in an effort because we believe that it will not be a good show. And so you cannot see racing today. We encourage you to come back tomorrow. If that had happened, I really believe the people with the gasoline would have thrown it on the ground and lit it on fire. Like a lot of people. That's my conclusion in the thought experiment. Maybe it's wrong, but I really believe people would have torched the place to the ground, complaining that nobody made an effort. Instead, an effort was made. And cars went out there and smoked the tires 1 foot out, and they tried to get down, and then Hagen gets down. And you're like, all right, 394. Hagen went right down the racetrack. And my independent research, investigative reporting, said that those guys did stuff to get it to go down the racetrack that they didn't even think was going to work. And it worked. And they don't even know why it worked, but it worked. Meanwhile, veteran crew chiefs like Ron Tobler was shaking his head like, this is not going to go down. It's not going to go down the track. It's not going to go anywhere. And he was just shaking his head like, this is crazy. And it went out and smoked the tires at the 1 inch mark. And I went over and asked Ron. I was like, please explain to me what's going on. He says, just not sticky. And, it's just the track is really cold. But whatever the reason, the rubber is just not sticky. And so the teams kind of started to say, like, we're not even going to do this. Like, what's the point? Bob Vandergriff pulled out a line because he doesn't want to put Jordan in the situation to have to pedal the car that quickly and tear up some stuff. That one run was not that significant in the grand scheme. And so everyone started putting their heads together and decided, like, we can't do this. And at that point, NHRA is like, we're pulling the plug. We're letting everybody come back the next day. And everybody got to the right conclusion. Now, what's my point? My point is that process has to happen the way it worked out. And it's a tough call. Had they just pulled the plug immediately without sending cars down the racetrack, I really believe they would have gotten totally destroyed on the web for not even bothering to try. And the converse is that they did what they did, and some people destroyed them for trying. And then finally, the next day, they switched out the tires on the counter rotator, which I spoke with the Goodyear guys, and they say flat out, it's the same rubber. It's the same compound. But for whatever reason that we do not understand at this point, it didn't work out. And so the rest of the weekend was fine, and now here we are. So the people who light people on fire on the internet, once again, real negative. All right, let's move to something more positive, like E-Copo. Once again, another thing, lighting it up, just in intense negativity. Let's start a list of things that are positive versus things that are negative. I'm loving the E-Copo. People are talking about the E-Copo. It's silent, it's carrying the wheels 100 feet in the air, and everybody who's cheering, you can hear them. But here's the problem, okay? First of all, like, what do we care? The source of the fuel, really. We do like the sound. But do you care about gasoline versus alcohol? No, you don't care about gasoline versus alcohol. You don't care about any of that. Gasoline versus alcohol. You care about a cool car going fast is what you care about. That's what you care about. So every once in a while, someone's going to bring an electrical car to the starting line and do a big wheel stand and try to beat a gasoline car. and yet people are trying to shut it down. I'm against that. The problem is there's only one. What's up with E-Copo being the only one? Where's E-Mustang? Let's bring out E-Challenger. That's what we need now. E-Copo just going down the racetrack by itself is not enough. We need to see two cars that are both electric match racing each other at these races now. That's what we need to see. The thing is, we evolve very quickly as fans. Oh, what? This is a thing? We want to see more. We want to see more. Where's more? And so, as amazing as E-Copo is, and how cool it is to see it go 10-0 and 983 and 978 and go quicker and faster and awesome and tearing it up, and that's great. In the end, we want to see it race somebody. So E-Mustang and E-Cobra Jet and E-Challenger and E-Demon or whatever it is, Demon-E, right? The demon with a capital E and the E. Get it? You get what I'm doing there? Right? The demon. Whatever it is, let's get on it. And if that's not in their business model and that's not in their plan, then I don't know. But Chevy is leading the way on this, and I think it's neat. I think it's neat. And like Alan has to say, when something's important. When something's important when Alan Reinhart has to say it like over and over again. Like, I don't want anybody to think that I want all these cars to go away because they'd be replaced by electric cars. Why do you think he does that? Because he's received hundreds of emails from people who are just angry about life and they want to stop the E-Copo. Write a letter to Elon Musk, man. Go write the letter to him. Like Alan Reinhart has got the power. Bikes. I don't have any experience on motorcycles. None. From the time I was a kid, my father was just like, Joe, motorcycles, he was concerned about my safety. And I never got into them. I always liked cars because I always have friends, people come with me. I can see the attraction of going out, cruising and hanging out and wind in the face and all of that. I would choose to wear a helmet, but that's your right, I guess. I have to wear a seatbelt, though. I don't understand that. Like, I don't get that one. Why do I have to wear a seatbelt in my car, but motorcyclists cannot wear a helmet? I don't get that. That's Florida, though, just so you know. It's just confusing. I'm not against it. Maybe I should not be allowed to wear my seatbelt. It just seems, I don't know, it just seems a little weird. But I digress. When it comes to racing, man, I love them. I like the close racing in Pro Stock Motorcycle. I'm excited about that in the Gator Nationals. And I'm really liking the Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harleys and this evolution of the category that's happening and getting to know these people a little better. Bob Malloy and I have been talking, and, he's got his own project going on. And Jay Turner and Ty Tharp, getting to know them better, and they've got their own project going on. And I really love the evolution that's happening. But at the same time, I'm wondering, is this going to destroy the category? And instead, you'll have 3 supercharged bikes out there, and the category goes nowhere. Or maybe people want to run in the 5s on these things. Where are the new people coming in? I don't know what the answer is. I don't have all the answers, but I know what some of the challenges are. And so that's why I bring them up. And I'm asking each one of these racers, what do you think? What do you think? There was 9 guys trying to qualify out there at the Magic Dry Arizona Nationals. If that drops to like 4, then I don't know if the category is viable. Just running around the country, chasing NHRA Wallies, is a very expensive endeavor. I asked Ricky House about it. He's like, he likes the idea of going fast, but the expense, the added expense, all of a sudden, like the day the supercharged bikes start running 6.0s and 5.90s on a regular basis and they figure it out, and it's figured out, the naturally aspirated bikes are going to go away. They're going to become garbage. And so what's the point in that? And everybody's got to go out and do it and spend it. It's just the evolution of racing. And this is why, like many categories, like Samtech Factory Stock Showdown and others, the rules makers are going to try to be very strict about the evolution and how quickly it happens. And, hey, I'm going to buy myself a Copo and go race this great category Factory Stock Showdown, and it's going to be great. Oh, wait, I have to take the car totally apart down to its every possible piece and rebuild it from scratch and make it perfect. Otherwise, I can't compete. Yep. Oh. They say you can go buy one, and you can. But then you got to go buy one and bring the engine to Chris Holbrook or Greg Stanfield or to David Barton, and they have to do their thing to it. And the chassis and everything. And suddenly, it's back to racing. And this is the problem that has been the challenge with all motorsports. That has gotten us to a point where, we're hunting participants. Do we want to do that in another category? That's the question. We're going to be talking a lot more Samtech Factory Stock Showdown here on WFO, presented by WFO. And we're going to need our entire WFO radio audience to get on board for those of you that are Samtech Factory Stock Showdown fans. So just be advised, we're going to be having an announcement soon about that. All right, that's going to do it. How about that, my time? Did I get everything? Did I cover everything? Pent-up anger and frustration. See, I don't have to go to the internet because I can just dump my anger on you guys. See how that works? Hey, I'm sorry. I like to think I'm overly positive most of the time, right? Anyway, that's going to do it. Thanks to everybody for listening to our show. Our Ignition show will be later on in the week. When, I have no idea. But the Gator Nationals is next. And I am super excited about that. But got so much to do. Next week on the show, Matt Hagan. We got to connect with John DeBartolomeo, going to be on the show, among others. I want to get Jake Sundstrom from NHRA National Dragster on to explain their power rankings and how that all works. I am into the idea of power rankings, and they are doing stuff, so it will be very cool. We ask you to subscribe if you like the show. If you agree with me, definitely subscribe. If you don't agree with me, you can definitely subscribe. And, send me an email, joe@wforadio.com. Or call in or record your opinion about any one of many subjects on your mobile device. Voice memos. iOS app, like inside, what is it? Inside your iOS app, there's a area, mine is under utilities, and it says voice memos, and you just click the red button and you start recording like, hey, Joe, you're an idiot. Here's my opinion. WFO. And then you save it and you email it to joe@wforadio.com. It's that easy. And I feel like my past has demonstrated that I will share people's opinions that do not agree with me. Because after all, it is only drag racing, right? What you think is a good idea and I think is a good idea might be two totally different things. And I am very, very flexible, as in, oh man, my idea turned out to not be good. My idea turned out to be bad. Okay, move on. New ideas, new thoughts. That's the way you get to consensus. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Thanks to Alan Reinhart for coming on the show. The Billy Torrence interview was awesome. One of my favorite people in drag racing, rapidly becoming. Billy! Everybody loves that, too. They need to go after the sponsorship. That's what needs to happen. Beau Layne, just tremendous. And Jeg Coughlin, one of the greatest of all time. Jeg Coughlin Jr. Never gets old to see Jeg win. And yeah, the new ride out at Gainesville will be better. What happens? It's very interesting to see. And thank you so much for listening to our show and enjoying me rant here in my time. Brought to you by patreon.com/WFO Radio. And if you think this was actually good, you can hear more of it by going to patreon.com/WFO Radio. We'll see you next time. WFO Podcast, everybody.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.
Oh, yeah.